Year 5, week 18 of the Sunday morning lives. How is it going, everyone? I hope many of you are waking up today feeling like champions. Gonna be a bit of a different Sunday morning live here in week 18. Still gonna go game by game, gonna talk about the different motivations for each team, gonna have a focus on DFS, on the player props. Also gonna be doing a bit of reflection today on what I got right, what I got wrong this fantasy season. I want to remember heading into next fantasy football season. Of course, we'll be here for the sickos that have their fantasy playoffs still going in week 18. We'll be here for those start sits as well. Gonna be a fun one here. And there is a lot to cover today. Shout out to every single one of you already tuned in here on Sunday morning, week 18 of the NFL season. Cannot believe here we are, the last Sunday football of the season, at least in the regular season. Last red zone of the year today. Always goes by insanely fast. But we got a lot of ground to cover today. Definitely going to be doing some retrospective thinking on the live today as well about how the season went for some of these guys compared to and where I went right and wrong this season. All right, let's go through. We're going to go game by game, probably a little bit quickly today. I will mention the motivations for each. Let's start with this Colts-Texans game. The Texans, they can still win the AFC South. If they win and the Jaguars lose, Jaguars aren't going to lose. Today, this is one of the many situations where there could be some scoreboard watching going on, but in theory, the Texans should be pushing all out in this game with all of their starters. But at halftime, when they look at the scoreboard and they see the Jaguars are actually smashing the Titans, then they have nothing to play for, really, in this game. A win keeps them at the number 5 seed if the Jaguars win. So not much to play for here in the Texans game, but they are big favorites here against the Colts. Texans are 10.5-point favorites at home. In this one, they're playing against Riley Leonard for the Colts. Riley Leonard who was benched in favor of Phillip Rivers. He's not going to be able to throw. He can run, but this Colts offense has basically no chance against the Texans defense trying. No one in this Texans offense is like overly exciting though for DFS purposes. I could get behind Nico. He hasn't had a huge game in quite some time since week 15. Did have a 23-point game week 15. Really a dud though in the fantasy playoffs. Under 10 points for Nico. Week 16 and 17. Doesn't have a game with more than 4 catches in over a month. 0 30-point games for Nico. He didn't have a single game over 25 this whole season. Hop over to the wide receiver ranks here. Shout out to everyone up with me Sunday morning, week 18. How confident are you the Jags win? Extremely confident. Yeah. The Jags, I really do not think are going to lose. The Colts side of the game, they're playing the number 1 defense in my mind in the NFL. They have Riley Leonard starting. I think Riley Leonard might actually be the lowest projected QB. He's not quite the lowest, but he's down there. He should run a little bit. There's like some DFS appeal here at minimum price, but he's not going to be able to throw, guys. This is not a competent passing QB. When you go out and you unretire Phillip Rivers in lieu of your backup QB, it's a backup QB, man. And he gets the Texans defense that should be trying again. The Texans do have something to play for if the Jags lose. Jags probably aren't going to lose, but at least the first half here, we're going to see the Texans trying. This is why week 18 is absolutely brutal. It's why you guys are sickos. If you are playing your fantasy championships in week 18, Lucas, we can help you out. You email support. Yeah, I do think they'll let Dak chase the passing title. Yeah, he has a chance to lead the league in passing. Do think that's pretty likely going to matter to the Cowboys. And I do think their offense plays like the whole game. All right, let's move on to this Cowboys-Giants game. Good segue there. Neither of these teams have anything to play for, but Dak could lead the NFL in passing yards. And a really good matchup here on paper for Dak. The Giants have every incentive to lose this game as well. He right now leads the NFL in passing yards per game, but I don't think he's number one in total passing yards. I think that probably goes to Stafford. Yeah, I think it's really close between him and Stafford. But Dak has a pretty good chance that it's possible the Rams don't play their starters the whole game as well. Yeah, let me pull my DraftKings lineup right now over on YouTube, seeing some people ask for that. Dude's got at 11. Yeah, man, Nico's been under 10 points in back-to-back games. I just mentioned that I don't hate his ceiling. He has 0 games over 25 points this week. The Texans' offense is not very good. So CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, both top 5 this week, definitely both live in DFS. I don't hate the Dak Prescott double stacks in DFS. There's some running backs that are basically minimum price that are going to get 15 plus touches today on the DFS slate. I'll talk through who some of those guys are coming up here in a second. You can see a couple of them in my DFS lineup up on the YouTube live right now. If you're watching live on TikTok, by the way, come to the YouTube live. I'm telling you, it is a better viewing experience. I'm seeing a tight end question, so I'll hop over to the tight end ranks here. There are multiple tiers between tight end 1 and tight end 2 remaining on this slate. The Cowboys are only favored by 3.5 in New York. In this one, it seems like there's some stuff priced in there that they maybe won't play their offense the whole time, but I think they probably will. George Pickens, definitely one of my best takes of the season. Finishes the year 3rd in yards per game, 6th in fantasy points per game. A bit of a disappointing fantasy playoffs and end of the season. Went under 12 points in 3 of his last 4. Really disappointed week 17 too. Should have had a much bigger game there versus the Commanders. But still, all in all, if you had George Pickens where he was getting drafted this season, pick. Jake Ferguson ended up underwhelming after a really crazy start. I think he was tight end 1 or tight end 2 through the first 7 weeks of the season. Didn't have a game over 12 points after week 8 or after week 7. Man, he's going to be an interesting one for next season. Probably someone I will be avoiding. We're going to see Jadon Blue today, who was getting a lot of hype in draft season, ended up doing absolutely nothing. I do not want to be overweight on Jadon Blue here in week 18. He's definitely interesting for DFS purposes. I think his prop lines are in the near 60s. Let me hop to the running back ranks here. I'll pull up running back ranks on both live streams here. I do think he deserves to be ranked. I think we have him in the top 30. Yeah, he ranks for running back 31 for us. I have him in tier 7. Phil Muffa is going to be active for this game too. Phil Muffa might be better than Jadon Blue. I think Jadon Blue is going to be better in the touchdown in this game. I don't think there's like an insane ceiling here for Blue. I don't think it's super likely he gets like 15 to 20 touch. He's probably going to be in the 10 to 15 touch range, not the 15 to 20 would be my expectation here. But I get the interest in both these guys. The Giants continue to have one of the worst just defenses all around in the league. Definitely run defenses there as well. For the Giants, I do think Jackson Dart tries to finish the year strong. He's very much in the running still for Offensive Rookie of the Year. It's him, Tyler Shuck. I think Ted McMillan is still in the running as well. I think it's probably going to be Shuck, but there's a good case for Jackson Dart, especially in the total stats category. Not a matchup for him to end the year strong here. I do think the starters play the whole game. No Wandale for the Giants today, though. He's been sucking up so many targets on this team. Definitely a miss for me this season, like a pretty big miss, was Wandale Robinson. I was not in on Wandale. I've always been a bit of a Wandale hater. Finishes the year 9th in catches per game. Ends the season. He had 2 games over 16 points in the fantasy playoffs. Was the wide receiver 6 in the fantasy finals. 11 for 113. Man, I mean, definitely a career year. Hard to expect him to improve on this next season. Still only scored 4 touchdowns, despite being 9th in the league in catches. Wandale was 50 touchdowns, 9th in catches this season. But man, what a season for him, especially in PPR leagues. Theo Johnson's going to be out in this game again. So it's going to be Slayton, Tracy, Bellinger, Jalen Hyatt. Singletary vulturing Tracy last week was so painful in the fantasy football finals. I did win 3 leagues, came in second in 2. So 5 top 2 finishes out of 12 leagues for me this season. Definitely a strong one. What's the DK lineup this week? Yeah, I got the DK lineup up on screen now. We'll talk through the DFS You're rolling with Bigsby this week. Do you think he's worth starting in PPR over Swift, Cook, or Stevenson? I need to start two of them. Yeah, maybe Swift. I might start him over Swift. The Bears do have something to play for today. I think I would go Bigsby. Bigsby's in a smash spot today, man. He gets the Commanders. They're resting starters. Commanders have one of the worst run defenses in the league. They're not going to throw the Eagles today. Bigsby's looked good when he's gotten opportunities this season too. He's averaging 6 yards a carry. That's second most in the league. He could easily go for 100, 2 touchdowns in this game. Crazy at all. So yeah, I think I'd probably play him over Swift. Who's in a timeshare, tough up against a tough run defense too. You got the revenge game narrative there for Swift, but yeah, I think I'd go Bigsby. I really like Bigsby. I like his touchdown prop today. That's actually the free player prop today. The one I identified. We went just barely 0 for 3 last week, so we're down to 59% on the season. Still feel pretty good. Bigsby anytime to score though. Loveland or Strange? Yeah, I'll hop back over to the tight end ranks here. Pull up the tight end ranks on the YouTube live as well. We'll keep rolling through these games here, and then we'll, of course, get to all the comments. Again, doing a bit of game-by-game breakdown, DFS focus today, prop focus. I know some of you sickos are on Week 18 fantasy football finals, so I'll get to some start sits, of course. I will also be talking through just some reflection on the season, things we learned, things we got wrong, things we got right this year. Jackson Dart was definitely one we did get right. I mean, really interesting case for next season. I feel like there's going to be so many good late round QBs again next season. I'll probably be on the late round QB grind. Jackson's a real fantasy quarterback. I mean, went over 20 points in almost every single game he played. He finished 4th in rushing yards per game, had almost a rushing touchdown per game. 2nd in rushing touchdowns per game. By the way, the only QB with more rushing touchdowns than Trevor Lawrence this season was Josh Allen. That was it. Trevor Lawrence finished number 2 in total rushing touchdowns. I think he was number 3 in rushing touchdowns per game, though, maybe. Shout out to everyone in the live here in Week 18. Appreciate you all season. Hope many of you won your championships. If you did win your championship, let me know in the chat. Love seeing those at this point of the year. All right, Browns versus the Bengals. Bengals are 7.5-point favorites in this game. Feels like a lot in a game that neither team really cares much about. But the Bengals offense has been rolling. They're probably all going to play this whole game. So I do think it's tough to see the Browns coming out and winning this one. Jamar Chase is definitely in play, definitely in play in DFS this week. We got him at the wide receiver 3 on the slate. Could easily end up being wide receiver 1. He's got at least 7 catches now in 3 straight games. Him and Burrow just finishing the season incredibly hot. He hasn't gotten under 8 targets, guys, since week 3. He has at least 8 targets in every single game since week 3. He's averaging 12 targets a game. That's the most in the NFL. No wide receiver averaging more targets per game than Jamar Chase. Chase Brown feels worth talking about in reflection of the season. You see stuff like this every year. This is who they're playing against, not what team they're on. Why is Jay Jettis on Green Bay? This is a case that we see every year where, I mean, this was probably one of the best buy low opportunities this fantasy season was Chase Brown. Through the first 7 weeks of the season, he didn't have a single game over 13.5 points. Joe Burrow got hurt. The whole offense was tough to trust. Then from week 8 on, got top 5 running back. From week 8 on, had not one game under 15 points. So you didn't go over 15 a single time the first 7 weeks of the season. And then the rest of the games in the entire season, he has at least 15 every single week. Smashes in the fantasy football playoffs. 33 points, was a top 3 running back in back-to-back weeks in the fantasy playoffs. He had 16 in the first fantasy playoff game as well, with 7 catches. Finished the year with over 4 catches a game. And this was all despite Samaje Perine playing a ton. He was only playing 60% of snaps. I mean, going to be a really interesting projection next season because the efficiency's there. If Joe Burrow is cooking, the upside's there, even in a split role with Perine. The receiving role was really strong too. And you got to give some credit to Chase Brown being efficient on somewhat limited touches. T. Higgins ended up being a bit of a miss. I feel like this season, I was really in on him in the best ball drafts that I did. We saw the ceiling multiple times, but he dealt with injuries. Really was not even close, it felt like, to Jamar games that they played together, unlike past seasons. All right, that's the Bengals side of this game, I definitely think they're all in play for DFS. Higgins and Chase Brown. Shedeur Sanders probably going to get his final start in quite some time. I don't think he'll be a starter for the Browns or any team moving forward after this season. Pretty good final spot for him, though, to show out against the Bengals. I think there's talent there. I don't think Shedeur Sanders is a starter caliber quarterback, though, in the NFL. Judy's the number one projected receiver. His prop lines are like near the 50-yard mark. He's kind of an interesting DFS play here, too. I would look to stack Judy if you're playing with the Bengals in DFS today. Wan'Dale's not playing today. Seeing some questions about Wan'Dale not playing today. There are these rankings I have up to. These are the rankings for the rest of the players playing, which is all the games are today. No games tomorrow. Judy is definitely going to be really low owned. Everyone hates Judy in DFS, but he projects near 10 points, wide receiver 24. If you're going with the Bengals stack, I don't hate that as a bring back. Dylan Sampson, there's no Harold Fannin or David Njoku in this game. So it's Judy, Cedric Tillman, and Dylan Sampson catching passes from Shedeur. A really ugly offensive talent situation here for the Browns. We saw Sampson get about half the carries. He only played about a third of the snaps. This week he did have targets, caught all 3 of them, 0 yards. Super real ceiling here for Sampson. They're going to split this backfield 3 ways. Raheem Sanders was pretty involved. I think Travion Williams too. 42% of snaps for Raheem Sanders last week. I don't want to touch any of these Browns. I understand the Judy bring back in the Bengals stacks, though. All right, that's the Browns-Bengals game. Neither team has anything to play for but a better pick in that one. The Saints-Falcons actually has some serious ramifications because the Bucs beat the Panthers. Why is Okonkwo so high? I feel like they have nothing to play for. Yeah, I showed the QB ranks. Yeah, I got Okonkwo actually in my DFS lineup today. I like Chig a decent amount today. They don't have much to play for. I still think Chig is going to play in that game. There's a lot of these teams that are out of playoff contention. I mean, they've had nothing to play for technically for weeks. There's no, like some of these offenses won't continue to play the guys they have been playing. And the players on the field, guys, they're going to try. If you're on the field, they're trying. That is how it goes in the NFL. We got Juwan Johnson up at tight end 2 in this game because there's no Chris Olave. They're shutting down Chris Olave in this game. Chris Olave was maybe the best pick of the fantasy season for where he was going. He was one of the best picks in all fantasy for sure. In the fantasy playoffs, he goes 20, 37, 26, was a top 9 wide receiver in 3 straight weeks in the fantasy playoffs. The definition, man, of a league winner. And his floor was so high all season. Finishes the year with 6 catches, 73 yards a game. Both those are top 9 in the NFL, 7th in points per game. Just a PPR scam all season. And then he started ripping touchdowns down the stretch. He had 5 touchdowns in his final 5 games. Man, absolute dominant season from Chris Olave. Very interested to see where he goes in drafts next year. Probably going to be like the 2-3 turn would be my guess. And I think that's a pretty good bet to make. Kendra Miller, Devin Neal, Kamara all out again for this one. It's going to be Evan Hull, Estime, and Taysom. We were off on Taysom there in the finals. I really hope not many of you played Taysom in the fantasy football finals. Dak or Lamar. Yeah, we got Dak ahead of Lamar, but honestly, I think I might go Lamar in a must-win playoff game tonight over Dak. It's a close call. I get why the projection has Dak. Dak is expected to play the whole game. Dak is chasing to be the passing yards leader as well. Hop over to tight end ranks here. But yeah, Estime ended up getting the backfield last week. It wasn't Taysom. Taysom's entire role in week 16 was because he was home game. We talked about that on the live. It was a coin flipped in the wrong direction there in the finals. 0 points. Donut for Taysom Hill. He had 3 carries, I think 0 yards. Estime gets 14 carries, 94 yards, and a touchdown. Not a bad matchup for him here versus the Falcons. Probably going to be in the 15-touch range. He's startable in DFS for sure. And yeah, with no Chris Olave, I mean, Juwan Johnson projects with the highest team. Then it's Kevin Austin Jr. and Dante Pettis. There is some stuff for Shuck to play for in this one because he's chasing the offensive rookie of the year. He's trying to earn a starting spot next season. So kind of interesting for DFS, but I don't know who you stack him with. Pettis, Kevin Austin Jr., maybe Juwan Johnson. Matchup's kind of tough. And then for the Falcons, I continue to think Bijan is the most talented player in the NFL. He smashes. He was also a league winner. He went over 29 points in all 3 fantasy playoff weeks. I mean, unreal stuff from Bijan. Just an incredible point game in the fantasy football finals too. Has 2 touchdowns, over 225 yards in this game, 5 catches as well. He's going to be the first overall pick next season, no doubt. Bijan is the 101 next season. He has the age on his side, the role, the talent, everything. Even without a workhorse role, he's going to go for 20 plus almost every single week. Finishes the season second in points per game, only behind Christian McCaffrey, 22.7 points per game, passes Jonathan Taylor, passes Jahmyr Gibbs, passes Devon Achane, almost in a tier above these guys. I only felt that way, at least down the stretch. Fantasy football season. He projects as our running back this week. The Falcons have absolutely nothing to play for, but they are, I think they're favored. Yeah, they're 3.5 points in this game. They are expected to play their starters the whole game. I think Tyler Algier should mix in a little bit more, and there's no reason to really push Bijan to his max here in week 18, but there really wasn't a reason last week either. So the Panthers need the Falcons to win, and I believe the Bucs need the Saints to win. I believe that's how this game is. Let me pull this up here for the Saints. Yeah, if the Falcons beat the Saints, this game won't matter. Yeah, if the Falcons beat the Saints, then the Panthers are in. If the Saints beat the Falcons, then the Bucs are in. I don't honestly think the Saints do beat the Falcons this one. The Bucs make the playoffs. I'd rather see the Bucs in the playoffs for sure than the Panthers too. The Panthers have no shot at winning a playoff game. I don't think. I like the Saints to upset the Falcons here in this one. I feel like the Falcons coming off a high to beating the Rams. I think they probably play down to their level of competition here. Saints offense has been really competent this season too. Definitely one I'll be wanting to be in on, I think, next season if the coaching staff stays in place. Tyler Shark probably going to start for this team next year. All right, on to the Packers-Vikings game. Vikings are 10.5 point favorites in this game. Absolutely nothing to play for here for the Packers. They're starting not Malik Willis, not Jordan Love. They're starting Clayton Tune. Nobody on this team is playing. Matthew Golden projects as the top receiver. He's done nothing all season. He was a complete bust. He was actually he was a last-minute scratch from my do not draft list. Definitely regret taking him off my do not draft list this season, but definitely didn't draft him in any of my leagues. Pretty good about that. Definitely a W for me this season. Malik Willis, also, I started him in the fantasy football finals. This guy's got to get a starting job next season. Got to get this guy a starting job for fantasy football. If Malik Willis is available in round 10 plus and he's starting week 1, he's going to be on all of my teams. He's one of the best rushing QBs in the league. 50 rushing yards, 2 TDs, threw for 288. I think he only had 3 incompletions in this game. 86% completion percentage, finished with 32 fantasy points. Didn't make a single mistake. Malik Willis, but he won't be starting today. Josh Jacobs is getting shut down finally too. So it's Emmanuel Wilson and Christopher Brooks and Pierre Strong. I want to stay away from this game, I think, for DFS purposes. On the Viking side, though, you could definitely Justin Jefferson trying to finish the season strong. He's going to be playing against backups today. He ranks as wide receiver 15 on the slate. Kind of interesting for DFS. Jordan Mason, I think, is going to be kind of popular as well. He's going to get the whole backfield to himself. He didn't play, but there's no Aaron Jones in this game. It's Ty Chandler, Xavier Scott, and Jordan Mason. I think he's probably more of a trap than a play, though. I prefer to bench him in DFS. Is Amon-Ra playing? Yeah, the Lions offense is expected to play today. They're out, but I do think they still try to end the season strong. No TJ Hawkinson today either. It's going to be Josh Oliver. If you're not paying up for McBride, which you probably shouldn't in this DFS, you're paying down for one of these really, really cheap tight ends. My favorite to pay down for is Chig Okonkwo, who I talked about briefly before. Let me jump to that game now. The Vikings defense, by the way, have been one of the best defenses in the league, and they're not going to make the playoffs. Just not confident enough QB in the Vikings this season. Where Justin Jefferson goes in fantasy is going to be really interesting. We did a mock draft at the WalterPicks team internally this past week, and Justin Jefferson went in the middle to end the second round in a 10-team draft. I passed on him for Genty and Pickens. I had the first pick in that 10-team draft. I went Bijan, Genty, Pickens. I'm going to have a ton of Genty, guys, next season if he's going at the end of the second round. That's going to be unreal. I don't think he's going to end up going there. Yeah, so the Vikings, they've been eliminated already, as have the Packers. Sorry, the Packers are already in playoff contention. They have nothing to play for, so they won't. That's why they're huge underdogs in this game. Vikings playing their starters, Packers benching their team for the playoffs. All right, Titans. This is one of the more exciting spots of the day. We have Trevor Lawrence up at QB1 today. The Jaguars actually do have a decent amount to play for here in Week 15. They lock up the AFC South with a win. A loss, if they lose and the Texans win, I talked about this with the Texans, then the Jaguars don't win the AFC South, and I don't think they even get a home field advantage in the playoffs. So this is basically home field advantage with a win throughout the playoffs, or for most of the playoffs for the Jags. I think they are basically eliminated from the 1 seed. There might be an outside chance. Yeah, there's an outside chance the Pats lose and the Broncos lose, which is just not going to happen. Not going to happen. But yeah, the Jaguars team is definitely in play. They get the Titans, not a good defense like this whole season. The Trevor Lawrence stacks are in play. I am going with Trevor Lawrence and Jacoby Myers stack this week. I went the Trevor Lawrence stack last week. Fell a little bit short. He did have another 2 rushing touchdowns. Last week, though, he's up to over half a rushing touchdown per game. He's got 4 rushing touchdowns in his final 3 games. Lawrence smashed this season as well, really in the fantasy. Finishes QB1 in weeks 15 and 16, then finishes QB6 in week 17, over 24 points in all 3 of those games, man. So Jacoby's definitely a strong play. I like the Lawrence, Jacoby, Brian Thomas stacks today. I might honestly try to get Brian Thomas into this as well. I was in on Brian Thomas last week. Definitely fell short. Such a disappointing season for Brian Thomas. One of the worst picks in the first round of drafts. He was picked at the end of the first round in almost every draft, every single draft this season. Didn't have a single game over 23 points. Only 1 game over 18 points this whole season. He was under 10 points like every single week. Man, Jacoby was just outplaying him, just straight up outplaying him down the stretch. 2, he's going to be a tough click next year, but we know the ceiling is there. Definitely will be an interesting case. Travis Etienne, league winner this season as well. Didn't finish super strong in week 17, but really strong fantasy playoffs, really strong season. Finishes wide running back 12 in points per game. Be interesting to see where the Tootin role grows to next season. But yeah, Etienne's in play today. Tootin is going to be active, but it's hard to know how much he's going to be involved. We don't have him projected for. Actually, we haven't projected out right now. Unclear if he's going to play. I think he's probably going to play. Brenton Strange ranks as tight end 11 this week. Is a little bit low for him. I don't know what the real ceiling is, though, for Strange. He doesn't have a game over 15 points all season, so he's probably not viable in DFS. Parker Washington, also kind of interesting. He finished the season incredibly strong, 19 plus in 2 straight games. He went 8. He's got back-to-back games over 10 receiving yards with at least 6 catches. It's a good matchup for these receivers, too. So, yeah, I like the Trevor Lawrence wide receiver stacks here. Any mix and match you want to do between Myers, Brian Thomas, Parker Washington, I think I'm in on these stacks. And I like the bring back with Chigokonku. Chigokonku had a huge touchdown last week. He's been a top 6 tight end in back-to-back weeks. He's scored in back-to-back games. Jaguars have been worse against tight ends across all positions this season. There's just not legit receiving options for the Titans. Shamir Adike, Imanor, James Prochet, Mason Kinsey. These are the receivers for the Titans. These are all like number receivers at best, if we're being honest. Chigokonku projects as tight end 4. No Nico today. Oh, wow. Nico is out. I guess this is just getting reported here. Wide receiver will be a healthy scratch today versus the Colts. Nico getting rested versus the Colts. Get this updated in the app ASAP. That's pretty big late news here. I think we're getting this updated now. Yeah, we're updating this in the app now. Nico is out today. That's pretty big news there. Take him out here of the ranks. Someone was just chirping me that why we had him ranked as wide receiver 11. Nico Collins is out. That is pretty big for the rest of the receivers on that team. Texans will be trying in that game. At least I thought so. I think they're going to be trying. Him being a healthy scratch just does kind of make it seem like they might not be trying. Texans, they can win they need the Jags to lose, but the Jags just aren't going to lose to the Titans. But yeah, if the Jags lose, the Texans win, they get a much better playoff seed. They win the division. Very interesting. Take Nico out here of the ranks. Indy owns them. Not so sure about that. Tony Pollard finished the season really strong too. I believe he's a free agent after this season. Only 10 and 11 points his finals 2 games, but he's had at least 85 rushing yards now in 4 straight games. He's close to an incentive. I'm not a big incentive bro in week 17 and 18. I know there's a lot of incentive bros out there tracking the incentives, betting on the incentives. They're more than baked in to the prop lines. There's such mainstream narratives now. It's a little overblown, I think, at this point. Tough matchup on paper for Pollard too against the Jags. So I prefer from pretty much this whole Titans offense other than Chig. I like the Jags offense with the Chig bring back a lot. That is in my DFS lineup today. Also in the DFS lineup is Tank Bigsby. Already talked about him a bit. Let's I just talked through the Jags offense too. I'm going with the Trevor Lawrence Jacoby stack. I do think Jacoby, Parker Washington, and Brian Thomas Jr. are all interesting to stack today. Let's jump to this Cardinals-Rams game. Rams are 13.5-point favorites in this one. I do like Puka, but the Rams have a real chance to bench their whole starters in the second half of this game. This is another one of these scoreboard watching situations today where the Rams, if they win, they clinch the number 5 seed. Which is a better matchup. They're going to beat the Cardinals like no matter who they play. So yeah, I kind of feel like the Rams plays like the first half, and that's probably all they're going to need to put up a ton of fantasy points in this game. We're projecting Blake Corum to be out right now. He did suffer an ankle injury at the back end of last game. We'll see about that one. If he is out, it's probably going to be Ronnie Rivers that plays behind him. Maybe we see Jarquez Hunter finally get some run this season. I was excited about Jarquez Hunter around the NFL draft. Didn't play a single snap the whole season. 0 snaps. Maybe we see Jarquez Hunter get active today. That'd be fun. Terrence Ferguson's out as well. Ferguson's going to be a really exciting pick, I think, for fantasy next season. If we can get this guy into an every down role, man, he's going to have a huge, huge ceiling every single week. Very situational role he's playing right now in this season, though. And the Rams are playing like 3 or 4 tight ends. Tyler Higbee's back this week. We haven't seen Higbee all season. We haven't seen him since week 11. Excuse me. Feels like we haven't seen him. Have not seen Tyler Higbee since week 11. He returns this week. Probably not going to play a ton. But yeah, Puka Nacua is wide receiver 1 in the ranks today. The Cardinals, we talked about them last week against the Bengals. They're playing a whole practice squad defense. Their defense already wasn't good. Stafford is still in the hunt for MVP. He's probably not going to win it at this point, but he's also contending for the most passing yards among quarterbacks. He's competing with Dak for that one. Dak's probably going to throw for a lot of yards today too. So there's some motivation here for the Rams. There is some seeding relevance here too, but they're going to smash the Cardinals even with their backups. And on the Cardinals side of this game, I got Michael Wilson and Puka. Actually, I think, did I get Puka in the DFS lineup? Yeah, I did. And I got Michael Wilson in this DFS lineup too. I do like Michael Wilson a lot here in week 18. There's no Marvin Harrison Jr. today. They're huge underdogs in this game. They're going to get off a ton of pass attempts. Every game without Marv, Michael Wilson has smashed. And last week, Marv got hurt again, and Michael Wilson goes for 20 points. Finishes a number 8 receiver in the fantasy football finals. Finished the season 5 touchdowns in his last 4 games. Multiple 20-plus point games. Had 4 games with at least 19.9 points. He had an elite floor every single game without Marv. He was actually one of my best best ball picks of the season. My best ball season did not go well this year. Did do very well in my season-long leagues, but got to bounce back, man, next year with the best ball drafting that I do. Michael Wilson was one of my biggest hits, but on every Michael Wilson team, I basically had Kyler Murray. So all those teams were basically dead. For the Cardinals, we have McBride, like a distant tight end 1 today as well. He's been kind of in his own tier for a little bit of time now. We think Cook is going to play a lot. James Cook is going to play. Is he going to play a lot? I honestly a little sketched out about where we have him ranked because we don't have Josh Allen projected to play the whole game. James Cook probably only needs 1 quarter to get to like 15 points against the Jets, but I think it will be a decent amount of Ty Johnson and Ray Davis today too. I am a little bit nervous about James Cook in that Bills game, which we'll get to in a second, but Jay McBride breaks the all-time reception record 4 tight ends, 7.4 catches per game, 74 receiving yards per game, 19 fantasy points per game, like legit wide receiver one numbers. Let's compare this to the receiver pick. If we just look at the receivers, points per game was at what, 17.9 that McBride was at? The only receivers that were over this per game, George, Rashid Rice, Jamar Chase, JSN, and Puka. End of list. McBride had more points per game than Olave, Devontae Adams, CeeDee Lamb, Nico Collins, AJ Brown, all these guys got smashed by Trey McBride. You look at catches per game, I think he's at around 7 catches per game. There's only 3 receivers with more catches per game. Over 7 catches per game this season was Jamar, JSN, and Trey McBride. He was actually at 7.4, so even more than JSN. I mean, just a legit elite wide receiver one in your tight end slot, complete cheat code in fantasy, well worth the high draft pick you spent on him. He had one game, like really one down game, came in the fantasy semi, but yeah, he's the clear tight end one this week. Thoughts on Panthers versus Bucks game? Yeah, I'm rooting for the Bucks to get into the playoffs for sure. They need the Saints to beat the Falcons, which I do think the Saints beat the Falcons today. I actually like them to upset. They're 3.5-point underdogs in that one. So yeah, I like Michael Wilson in DFS a lot. I think he'll be pretty popular, but his prop lines are in the 70s, and he has a great chance to go over that and score. Michael Carter is not in play in this game. I would not play any of these running backs. I don't trust Michael Carter or DeMarcado. Carter was a trap, like the whole fantasy playoffs. Just complete trap. No real 6-point floor. It's just not going to be enough in the fantasy football finals. Again, Rams are 13.5-point favorites in this game. Not going to be close. The Broncos are 14-point favorites against the Chargers, and this is where the Patriots need an absolute miracle. The Broncos have played down to their level of competition all season. They've really come on down the stretch, but the Chargers are resting their whole team in this game. They're not going to be playing starters. The Broncos win, they get the 1 seed. So there's a ton to play for here for the Broncos. I do like RJ Harvey a lot this week. Definitely think RJ Harvey's a strong DFS play. He's had a really strong hold on this backfield, playing over 65% of the snaps. He's getting 14-plus carries. He's got 11 targets over his last 2 games, caught 9 of those, scored a touchdown on 1 of them. He's got over 100 receiving yards and a receiving touchdown on 9 catches over his last 2 games. Now he gets the Chargers, resting their whole defense. Like, this is a good Chargers defense, but they're resting a ton of guys. And the Broncos are huge favorites in a must-win game to get the 1 seed. So yeah, I do like RJ Harvey today. I don't really trust anyone else really on this offense. Receivers all the way through Marvin Mims, Lil Jordan, Humphrey, Franklin, Pat Bryant, Cortland Sutton. There's like 5 different receivers that could have the big game here for the Broncos. So to me, it's RJ Harvey or bust in DFS, but the Broncos 14-point favorites in this one. Would be a colossal failure for them to lose at home versus a backup practice squad Chargers team. Trey Lance is going to get the start today. He doesn't rank very high for us. He's down at QB 21. Anytime Trey Lance plays, I'm going to be kind of excited for fantasy because he can run, man. He can definitely run, and that's relevant for fantasy, but this is a tough matchup for a Broncos team that needs to win. So, like, Stone Cold, maybe bottom 3. I wouldn't say it's the worst. Texans are probably the worst. Seahawks are up there too, but definitely the Broncos are as well. Broncos defense has been softening. It feels like a little bit. They just barely beat the Chiefs last week with their 3rd-string QB. But yeah, Trey Lance is notable any week he starts. Just a tough spot. I wish there was a better matchup for Trey Lance, and I could be more in on him for fantasy. But he's capable of running for 100 yards and a couple touchdowns. Like, very, very live to do that today. Marion Hampton's going to get shut down. Ladd McConkey's getting shut down. Keenan Allen's getting shut down. Quentin Johnson's expected to play, but it's probably Harris and Keandre Lambert-Smith. One of those 2 guys is probably going to have somewhat of a... Trey Harris might not play because he's actually had a growing role in this offense. He looks pretty good. And I wouldn't be shocked if Kamani Vidal doesn't get much either. Hassan Haskins and Scott Matlock today. So yeah, the Chargers are just completely off the radar today for fantasy. So tough to predict which of these backups is actually going to have a role. The Chiefs-Raiders game, Raiders need to lose, and they get the first overall pick in this game. The Chiefs are like very incentivized to lose this game. So are the Raiders. Genti, let's talk about him for just a second. I don't know why I love Drake, but New England always loses to Miami. Yeah, there's no Waddle or Achane for the Dolphins. They're starting Quinn Ewers. Like, there's not really a world where the Dolphins can pull that out. They're playing with just all backups on offense. Their defense has not been good this season either, and the Pats do have something to play for, though. That Pats game is going to be a scoreboard watching game here as well. I really want Genty to end the season poorly here and leave a sour taste in everyone's mouth. He goes under 4 of his last 5 fantasy games, would be ideal for next season. The Raiders will be live, be one of the most improved offenses next year because their offensive line was just so atrocious this season. They're probably going to have a full new coaching staff next year. And Genty kind of checks every box, guys. He basically checks every single box. He was 6th in target share. That was even higher if you just look at the second half of the season. Multiple games hitting 20+% of the target share. He was 2nd in the league in rush share, over 70%. I mean, a true workhorse running back, has the draft capital. The efficiency was awful this season, 3.7 yards per carry. But guys, if you had to predict, does his efficiency go up or down next season? Like almost definitely the efficiency is going to go up. He was 40th in yards per reception, 59th in yards per carry. In a better offensive environment, in a true workhorse role, like he could legit be the running back 1 in fantasy. It wouldn't be that crazy. It really wouldn't be that crazy. The receiving role for me gives me a lot of hype and excitement for Genty heading into next season. Again, we did a mock draft on the WalterPicks team, and I got Genty the first pick of the 3rd round in a 10-team league. If he falls that far, man, you're going to be able to build some monster teams with Genty, all assuming the Raiders are able to improve this offense and this offensive line a bit, but I think they do have the cap space. The Chiefs side of this game, so Genty's in play today. There's no Brock Bowers again, so he's probably going to get a pretty big workload. It's still not a guy I'm super excited about for fantasy, with a team very incentivized to lose. Michael Mayer is in play today at tight end as well. He actually did pretty well without Brock Bowers. 18 points, 9 catches, 89 yards. Definitely in play today. Then there's not a single guy you can be too excited about. This is probably, guys, the last game of Travis Kelce's career today. Kind of interesting for DFS. He did have 5 catches last week, 30% target share. I mean, they are making a point to try to get him the ball here in his final run as an NFL player. Marquise Brown is projected to be the top receiver. No Rice, no Worthy. Maybe Marquise Brown's in play for fantasy, but I don't want to trust Chris Oladipo. Pacheco, Kareem Hunt, Brashard Smith. Much sense to me to see what you have in Pacheco and Brashard Smith today and not give Kareem Hunt too much run here. Chiefs defense kind of interesting. Think Cowboys light up the scoreboard? Yeah. Against the Giants. It is a divisional game, and Dak is chasing the passing yards to be the passing yards leader. I don't have start sit today, but I do have all the rankings to go. Nico Collins is out, by the way, when I pull up the wide receiver rankings. There's the app here. And get the updated projections in. You think Vikings deserve to be that big of a favorite? I mean, the Packers aren't even playing Malik Willis. They're benching everybody. Clayton Tune, the Vikings defense has been so good this season too. I mean, they have nothing to play for really. But yeah, I don't think that big of favorites, but I do think they should be heavily favored. I think they're 14-point favorites. That feels like a lot. Yeah, the Vikings are, they're 11-point favorites. It probably should be more like 7, 5.5 to 7. They opened at 6.5. Now they're at 10.5. But yeah, the Packers are resting literally all their good players. All right, let's jump to the next game here, the Dolphins and the Patriots. There should be some fantasy points in this game. I am going with Jalen Wright in my DFS lineup. I do like Jalen Wright a decent amount. Today, Jalen Wright and Tank Bigsby, my favorite running back plays here in the Week 18 mess of a week. There's no Devon Achane in this one, so it's going to be Ollie Gordon and Jalen Wright. We've seen Jalen Wright have a big game without Achane this season against the Jets. Been pretty bad against running backs of late as well. Yeah, Breece Hall went for 20. Derrick Henry went for 23. James Cook went for 31. They've allowed at least points to opposing running backs in 4 straight games. That includes Devin Singletary and Breece Hall. Brees Hall's best week in a while last week. Pats do have a lot to play for in this game because if they win and the Broncos lose, they get the 1 seed. But the Dolphins are benching Waddle. They're benching Achane. So it's going to be Dulcich and Jalen Wright. And Dulcich is in for sure. Dulcich is in play for DFS purposes, 100%. Dulcich is like kind of finishing the season strong. He was the tight end 5 last week, 5 for 58. He's got at least 40 yards now in 4 straight games, does Dulcich. Going to have a legit role here. He had a 27% target share last week, only on 36% snap share, but there's no Darren Waller today. So it's going to be Julian Hill and Dulcich. Here we are, week 18, and the Dolphins are without Tua, without Achane, without Waddle, without Tyreek, without Darren Waller. Literally their entire starting offense not playing here in week 18. And then for the Patriots, Drake May is quarters away from winning MVP. He is the odds-on favorite to win MVP. I talked about him to win MVP at length, like all season. Definitely was on it pretty early. I got pretty late. It felt like Stafford to have the name value, the counting stats to do it, even though May has the efficiency. But Stafford really lost it on Monday night against the Falcons last week. May is the heavy favorite to win MVP. It's hard to see the Dolphins really slowing that down. He absolutely cooked the Jets last week. 256 and 5 touchdowns, 91% completion percentage. He only had 2. He didn't even play in the third quarter. Like halfway through the third quarter, he was out 5 touchdowns. Yeah, amazing play today for sure. DFS lineup. Yeah, I got the DFS lineup up on the YouTube Live right now. If you come to the YouTube Live, link is right in the TikTok bio. Got the DFS lineup on screen. Yeah, Drake May stacks are in play. The Drake May Steph Diggs stack, honestly, kind of interesting. There are some incentives for Stephon Diggs in play today. He, I think, needs 6 catches and like 90 yards and maybe a touchdown too. And there's 3 different incentives there. For Diggs, he's been over 22 points in back-to-back games, kind of heating up here down the stretch. Of course, the legal matter pops up for Diggs right ahead of the NFL playoffs. But he's got 16 targets. He's got 15 of 16 targets for 240 yards and a touchdown. And the Dolphins slow him down. Hunter Henry projects pretty poorly today, but it's a good matchup for him. He's finished the season really strong too. Back-to-back weeks as a top 7 tight end. He's in play today. Andre versus Trevin Henderson split, going to be super tough to project every single week. It was Mondre last week, 27 points. I kind of called that on the live last week. Henderson only finishes with 8 points. He played half the snaps, had 19 carries. It seems like the Patriots like Mondre just a little bit more. He played about half the snaps. He only had 8 carries, but he had 5 targets. I think he had 5 catches on those 5 targets for 55 yards and a touchdown. Yeah, one of these running backs will smash here versus the Dolphins. Both probably going to be an even split again. And I think we might see some Dearness Johnson here in the second half too. This is a scoreboard watching game here for the Pats because the Broncos are almost definitely going to smash the Chargers. Chargers are resting their whole team. This game only matters to the Pats if the Broncos lose. They're 14-point favorites, the Broncos, at home versus Trey Lance in an entire practice Chargers team. So if they're scoreboard watching the Pats, who are probably going to be up at halftime anyways in this game, and the Broncos are up, 3 scores, they might just rest the whole starting offense. They probably should rest the whole starting offense in that scenario. So definitely some risk here with the Pats benching guys, but really good spot for this whole offense. Kyle Williams was a disappointment last week in a bigger role, only 3 catches, 20 yards. Had a career high 85% snap percentage, though. He should get a ton of run again today. But Booty's going to be back in this one. So is Douglas. Both those guys. I think Douglas was actually active, but Booty was inactive last week. All right, that's the Pats-Dolphins game. I do think the Pats take this one. They're 12.5-point favorites, which feels right. Puka starting. Isn't Rams resting starters? No, Puka is starting. Dude, Washington or Brown? Are you talking about Parker Washington and AJ Brown? It's got to be Parker Washington. I think AJ Brown's not even playing. I don't know which Brown you're talking about. Marquise Brown? It's Parker Washington over Marquise Brown for sure. All right, we got the Commanders and the Eagles. My favorite prop comes from this game, and I'm playing him in my DFS lineup too, and that is Tank Bigsby. Absolutely set up to smash here in Week 18. The Eagles resting all their starters. The offensive line is probably not going to be amazing here for the Eagles. The offensive line has really been a weakness for the Eagles all season with the injuries that have piled up for them. But Tank Bigsby's been great this season, guys, averaging 6 yards per carry. That's the second most in the league. Really small sample size. Don't think he averages 6 yards per carry necessarily today. But the matchup here is unreal versus the Commanders. Have been so bad against the run all season. They've got nothing to play for in this game. Even with the Eagles resting all of their starters, they're 4.5-point favorites in this game at home. So we got the game script in favor of Bigsby, the matchups in favor of Bigsby, 4.7 yards per carry allowed by the Commanders. Like every single week, these guys are going over 4 yards a carry, and Bigsby could get 20 carries today, score multiple touchdowns. I like Bigsby a lot in DFS. I like his prop to score as well. I think Tank's got, man, Gainwell or Tank for ceiling. Honestly, it's probably Gainwell for ceiling with the receiving role that he has. Get to that game here coming up in a second. Grant Calcaterra is in play. Tanner McKee is going to be starting for the Eagles today. We haven't really seen him play ever. I do think he runs. Yeah, he's got some speed. I think he ran a bit in college. Yeah, he was a 6th round pick a couple of years ago. He's 6'6". But I think it's going to be a really run-heavy game script here for the Eagles. Jahan Dotson, Darius Cooper, and Britton Covey. These are the receivers playing today. We'll probably see Will Shipley get some run against the Commanders too. That is the fear with the Tank Bigsby stuff. But I think Bigsby's going to be the goal line back for sure. And then on the Commander side of this game, I do think Debo has some incentives in play here, but really tough to trust with Josh Johnson starting. Going to be a run-heavy game script probably for the Commanders as well. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt ranks somewhat high this week. He was a good start, man, in the fantasy football finals. Last second, Chris Rodriguez gets ruled out with an illness. JCM finishes running back 7, 23 points, scored twice. If you were brave enough to start him in the finals, which I was in one of my leagues, led to a championship. And now he gets a practice squad Eagles defense. He's probably going to get at least 10 touches today. He's going to be a really interesting case for fantasy next season. I was very out on Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt this year. I was also very out on Colin Monungai. Just all the 7th round rookie running backs, like I'm out. You know, the historical hit rate on these guys is horrible. I'll probably be out on both those guys again next season. Definitely Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, though. On this team, they want to play 4 different running backs every single week. They played Chris Rodriguez over him down the stretch. He had to get hurt for Bill to really step up. He has big playability, but just not going to have like a significant role on this team. So I'll probably be out for fantasy next season. A bit of a lost season for Terry McLaurin. Missed half the year with injury, came back, and Jaden Daniels wasn't even playing. Kind of have to give him a pass. Debo's going to be 30. Yeah, he's 30 years old now. He's going to be a free agent. Seems like he's on the wrong side of 30 at this point. Didn't have a single game over 12 points down the stretch. Again, no Jaden Daniels, but still. All right, that is the Commanders-Eagles game. I do think the Eagles take it, and I do like Bigsby. Is Chris Rodriguez playing? No, I don't think we're projecting him to play. I don't think he's playing. How far is Justin Jefferson from 1,000 yards? It's got to be close. He's got 947 yards. He needs 53 yards to get to 1,000. They've said at length they care a ton about it too. At QB for the Vikings today, I don't think I even mentioned this, but I think it's going to be Brosmer again. No, it's J.J. McCarthy. Will start in week 18, J.J. McCarthy. We got to get Justin Jefferson to 1,000 yards, man. 53 receiving yards. Justin Jefferson went in round 3 of the mock draft we did this past week. He's going to be such an interesting one to talk through next season, but I'm probably going to be willing to bet on the talent with Justin Jefferson and close my eyes and bet on it. We'll see if J.J. McCarthy's even the starter next season. He probably won't be with how bad he's in. Let's jump to this Lions-Bears game. Bears are only 3.5-point favorites in this game. Let me talk through what's at play in this game. So the Bears lock up the 2 seed with a win, but they can't be worse than the 3 seed. Jump to the QB ranks here. I pull up the QB ranks here. Can't believe Caleb Williams only had a good game. 20 was his best game in a while against the 49ers, but he only had like 2 points in the second half. This like all came in the first half. Didn't score a touchdown in like a 80-point game between the two teams. Still threw for 330 yards and 2 TDs. Hard to complain too much, but could have been a way bigger fantasy out there for Caleb Williams. But yeah, the Bears lock up a 2 seed with a win. And this is Ben Johnson, revenge game versus the Lions. We've already seen that once this season. The Lions are definitely going to be going all out. They have nothing to play for. They're out of the playoffs already. But I do think the Bears try in this game for the vast majority, if not the entire game. So all these guys are in play. Luther Burden, I put in my DFS lineup. Luther Burden is probably the most talented rookie receiver. He's better than Ted. He's been more efficient than Ted. A lot of people are touting the efficiency for Luther Burden this season, and I want to be behind it. I was in on Luther Burden in the draft. He's over 3 yards per route run based on our metrics this season. Number 3 on the season are and Luther Burden. I mean, this is like a historically efficient season for a rookie receiver at over 3 yards per route run. We haven't seen this in my lifetime playing fantasy. But I do want to discount it like a little bit because he didn't run that many routes. Like he was really not running many routes most of the season. He was at like 12 routes, 10 routes, under 10 routes in like most of the first half of the season. He was getting targeted when he was out there, but it's hard to expect him to maintain this level of efficiency at a full role. But man, we started to see it last week. He played 58% of snaps, his second most of the season, 8 catches, 138. DJ Moore was sick. He was doing nothing. Adunze was out. Zacchaeus was out. So yeah, I like Luther Burden in this spot a lot with the Bears playing. He did pick up an injury at the end of last season, serious. I think Swift and Monangai are both very risky in this spot. Tough matchup versus the Lions as well. I do think DJ Moore is kind of an for this week because he was definitely limited by an illness last week. Still played over 90% of snaps and is still in a good matchup here versus the Lions. Zacchaeus is going to be back this week as well, so we'll be curious to see how that affects Luther Burden, but the ceiling's clearly there. Hop over to the running back ranks here. Shout out to everyone with me here in Week 18, Sunday morning live, by the way. I do like Loveland a lot today, too. He ranks as tight end 10 for us on the week, but he was tight end 2 last week, 21.4 points. He's playing over 80% of the snaps. I don't think we do have Cole Kmet projected to play this week. He has played the last couple of weeks, though it does seem like Loveland is just taking over this role. He's going to have a really high ceiling among tight ends next season as well. Yeah, he had the highest target share of the season last week. Did Loveland 10 targets in that game, caught 6 of them for 94 and a touchdown. Definitely in play, definitely ceiling play here in Week 18. Bears are 3.5-point favorites in this game. Man, I think this should be a really close game. I think the Lions will go all out in this one. Definitely an interesting one for DFS purposes. All the Lions players are expected to play in this game. The Lions are teams that rest guys, even these meaningless games. They're out of the playoffs. Jahmyr Gibbs still projects as running back 2, tight end ranks. Yeah, I got you the tight end ranks. Gibbs had a super disappointing end of the season. Just collapsed fantasy teams. He went under 10 points in 2 of the 3 fantasy playoff games. His worst game of the season, second worst game of the season, came last week against the Vikings. Really strong defense for the Vikings. 17 carries for Gibbs, 2.4 yards per carry. Gibbs has now been under 3.6 or worse yards per carry in his final 5 games. Man, under 2.5 yards per carry in his final 2. Amon-Ra is definitely in play here. Gibbs, Amon-Ra, JMO, all definitely strong plays here in Week 18 in what should be a close game. Revenge game versus Ben Johnson. We got the running back 2, the wide receiver 2, and the wide receiver 9. 3 top 10 plays at their respective positions between Gibbs, Amon-Ra. All definitely pretty good options in DFS. I didn't fit any of these guys into my DFS lineup, but it's definitely a smart move to consider. Quinn Ewers or Trubisky? Got Trubisky starting for the Bills. Trubisky. Honestly, it's probably Trubisky. Is Allen going to play at all? Yeah, we have Allen projected to play the first couple snaps, I think, or first couple drives, but Trubisky versus the Jets, honestly, kind of interesting. They're probably going to run a lot too, the Bills. Can jump to that game next. The Jets, only 2 more games to talk through. Jets, Bills, and then we'll get to the Sunday night game, the best game of the day today. We got the Bills starting Josh Allen, but we're projecting the starters to not play a ton. We still have a pretty strong projection. Yeah, it's tough to start a guy who's not going to start the game, but man, the Jets matchup is great. There's not like a ton of receivers, even when Josh Allen's playing. They really might rest James Cook in this. There's no reason to push James Cook there's probably some incentive. He's running after. He's averaging over 100, leading the NFL in rushing. Jets have been so bad defensively. Ray Davis and Ty Johnson definitely both in play this week to score. Man, yeah, Trubisky's tough to trust. With him not starting the game, I probably would go Quinn Ewers, actually, talking through that one a little bit more. The Bills have nothing to play for here, really, in this game. They can't get the 1 seed. They're playing for seeding. They're locked into a wild card spot, though. I think they could get. I don't think they can actually get a home game in the playoffs at this point. They're going to beat the Jets regardless, too. There's no way the Jets, even with Trubisky, like they're big favorites versus the Jets. So yeah, I think general expectation, their starters play for a drive or two, and they call it a day. The Bills. To be careful with James Cook versus where we have him ranked. Bills probably not playing a ton of starters. The other guy I want to shout out, I have him as one of my touchdown scorers today. Pull up those on the YouTube live. My official free player prop of the day is Tank Bigsby to score. I like that one a lot. Kene and Nwangwu. There's no way I'm saying that right. It's going to be the number 2 running back for the Jets today. Maybe projected as the number 1 running back for the Jets. It's him and Khalil Herbert. Breece Hall isn't playing today. Does Bijan play the whole game today? He's probably going to give more work to Tyler Algier today, but Bijan should play. He projects really strong still for us. We go to the running back ranks here again. Kene and Nwangwu is a guy I actually like here in Week 18. This is why you're sick. Your league is sick. If you're playing the fantasy football finals here in Week 18, because I'm going to sit here and talk you into Kene and Nwangwu, who's available in 100% of leagues. None of us knew who this guy was literally a week ago. And here he is. He's going to start probably for the Jets today, or he's going to split with Khalil Herbert. And he gets the Bills, who are probably going to rest their starters, already were horrible against running backs like this whole season. Kene and Nwangwu, I was looking into this guy this morning. He's actually got like 6 speed. This guy's got 9th percentile speed. He ran a 4.37 40-yard dash. He was a 4th-round pick a few years ago out of Iowa State. This guy's like a low-key Breece Hall clone. He went to Iowa State, runs 99th percentile speed. He can catch the ball. I kind of like him here versus the Bills. I like him to score today. I think it's like plus 350 to score. I don't hate him in DFS. Khalil Herbert's going to mix in 2. Andrew Beck is the 3rd running back we're projecting to play today. But yeah, Braylon Allen's out. Isaiah Davis out. Breece Hall out. Breece Hall's played his last snap for the Jets. I'm going to be excited for Breece if he can land in a good spot. Get Breece to the Cowboys, man. Breece to the Cowboys this offseason would be a ton of fun for fantasy, especially for the Dynasty Bros out there. Brady Cook does not project well in this game. Brady a real. Kene and Nwangwu I want to play for the Jets and DFS today. Man. All right, let's talk about the Ravens-Steelers game. Then I'll get to all the comments. Here, seeing a bunch of comments. Collins, healthy scratch today. Yup. Tiny bit worried about Puka for sure. But I think even in the first half versus the Cardinals, he can put up 20 plus. So I'm not like super concerned. All right, so the Ravens-Steelers game is a playoff game tonight. I'm not starting Cook as a potential resting. Should I start Diggs, Swift, Gainwell for flex? I like Diggs a lot. Diggs or Gainwell. I mean, Gainwell game tonight, he's Rodgers' favorite receiver. And Diggs has been over 20 points back-to-back games. And the Pats do have something to play for in this one. Even if they'll be scoreboard watching and maybe we'll bench guys in the second half. But I do like Diggs a lot too. So the Ravens-Steelers, they got a playoff game tonight. This should be a lot of fun. I talked about my theory about the Ravens making the Super Bowl like a month back. And I think it could really happen. I really do think the Ravens are live to make the Super Bowl, guys, and win the Super Bowl. There's a lot of tension right now between Lamar and the Ravens, a lot of negativity coming out between the relationship between Lamar and the Ravens. But Lamar's the type of player, like, it doesn't really matter. Lamar's not going anywhere. You're not letting MVP, greatest rushing quarterback of all time, go anywhere, regardless of how he sort of acts. And this is a playoff game where the Ravens have clearly, by far and away, the better offense and a pretty comparable defense. I would argue maybe a better defense, too, than the Steelers. The Steelers have home field advantage here, but I like the Ravens a lot in this one. I think the Ravens have been on a path to sneak into the playoffs for quite some time. They're only 3.5-point favorites in this game. Lamar's going to play. And like they really might not need Lamar that much because we're getting, wintertime Derrick Henry here. who just had an all-time game in the fantasy football finals. 45.6 points, 216 and 4, goes over 100 rushing yards, all three of the fantasy playoff games, scores 6 touchdowns in the fantasy football playoffs. After really not being great this season, finishes 7th in points per game, 2nd in touchdowns, 3rd in rushing yards. You cannot slow down the king, man. You just cannot slow down Derrick Henry, especially this time of year. Derrick Henry is the all-time NFL rushing yards per game leader in the month of December, more than Barry Sanders, all these guys. Truly, I think like the best rusher of all time. Derrick Henry's right up there, man, right up there in the conversation. And he's probably not done. This is probably not his last season. Crazy stuff. He had 36 carries last week, Derrick Henry, at 32 years old. But yeah, I like the Ravens in this spot tonight. I like Zay Flowers to have a pretty good as well. There's going to be no Rashad Bateman in this one, so DeAndre Hopkins is probably going to get a bit more run than usual. Both tight ends, Andrews and Likely, probably get more run, a bit more run than usual too. Probably see a lot of 2 tight end sets, plenty of Derrick Henry and Lamar and Zay. On the Steelers side of this game, again, no DK Metcalf. Kenneth Gainwell projects for the most points. Who is Shamire DK? Shamire DK is the rookie receiver for the Titans, one of the better punt returners in the league as well. I don't think the Steelers have enough to get it done in this game without a real receiver. Adam Thielen and Marquez Valdes-Scantling and Scotty Miller, these are the top receivers. Scotty Miller over 1.5 catches in this game is kind of interesting. He has 3 catches in back-to-back games, 7 targets last week. Clearly some type of connection there with Aaron Rodgers. He played over 60% of snaps last week as well. But yeah, no one else other than Kenneth Gainwell is really in play here for the Steelers. And I like the Ravens to win. I like the Ravens as a very dangerous last playoff team here in the AFC. The Ravens could beat any team. Any team in the AFC can basically beat any team in the AFC with how the playoffs are shaking out. It's wide open in the AFC this season. Talk a little bit about some of my playoff thoughts here coming up later in the live as well. I'll talk through that with Samps. All right, let's get to some of the comments here. Is Puka still a starter? Will he not play the whole game? He's a start and he might not play the whole game. He's both. He's playing the Cardinals. Do you have the must start, must bench sheet? No, I don't have that today here in week 18, but I do got all the ranks up, and I will get to probably all the comments today since there's a little less comments to get through. Won my championship. Shout out y'all for real. Let's go. You're not worried about Puka. I'm a little bit worried. He likely sits or is limited in the game. No, yeah. So I think they put out prop lines for him yet. Aaron Rodgers could the Steelers next season. The Rams likely want the 5th seed and will try. It seems like the Rams could play the whole. If the Rams play the whole game, man, you don't want to be benching Puka here. Won 1 of 2 leagues, lost in 2nd place. Let's go. Hundreds over Strange, but can't complain. Total winnings over a K. Let's go, man. Shout out to you. In 2nd place is not bad. Really not bad in the grand scheme of things. Playing the incentives. I'm not an incentives bro. I think it's somewhat relevant for DFS. But for the props, I really don't think you want to overthink the incentives. They're being counted. They're probably being more than counted, like double counted in the DFS, in the prop lines. Is James Cook going to play today? He's going to play today, but probably not more than he might only play. Any weather you're worried about today? No concerns. Absolutely no concerns. Weather-wise today, there's some cold out there, just not overly concerning. Yeah, Nico's a healthy scratch. Do you think the Texans won't be trying because they play the winner of the Pats Broncos over playing the winner of the Ravens Steelers? I don't think they prefer to play the winner of the Pats Broncos game than the winner of the Ravens Steelers game. I think you'd probably rather play the Ravens than the Pats. Definitely, you'd rather play the Steelers than the Pats. Any player props you like? Yeah, so my one free player prop of the day, I do like the Tank Bigsby props. I don't think I saw a rushing prop out for him yet. But if it's in the 60s, I'm going to like that. But I like him to score a lot today. This is going to be my final of the regular season. You'd rather play the Broncos. Yeah, the Broncos are going to get the 1 seed. So you're not going to get the Broncos. Rather see Bo Nix than Lamar and Henry. Yeah, that's fair. I'm also not a very big believer in the Broncos, even with the 1 seed. But yeah, free player prop today is the Tank Bigsby to score. Finals today, lost Olave and Wandale. I have Jacoby and picked up Slayton and Burden. Yeah, start Burden. Start Burden for sure over Slayton. Need to start for flex. Already have Jason, wide receiver. Yeah, Burden. Really two great options. Both rank in tier 3. Jacoby's in tier 2. Burden's in near the top of tier 3. Both project over 13 points. Both good options. Bigsby or Cook. Oh my God, Anthony. This is why the week 18 sickos just make me sick. Fantasy football 18 makes me honestly like a little bit sick in the stomach, because here you are like really needing to consider Tank Bigsby over James Cook. This is not how the fantasy football finals should be. We have Cook projected ahead of him, man, but it's close. It's a close call with the reporting I'm seeing. The Bills have a real chance to rest guys after the first couple of drives. They have two very capable running backs that can smash the Jets without James Cook. It honestly might be Bigsby here over Cook. I think Bigsby's like a little safer, honestly. Or Jacoby Brissett. I think you're in a playoff game. I'm playing Lamar here. Burrow or Stafford. It's a close one too. I probably would go Stafford, over Burrow. Yeah, we have Burrow kind of low against the Browns. I think we're 1 sack away too from Myles Garrett's record. Bigsby or Jalen Wright. Yeah, I have both these guys in my DFS lineup. I like them both a lot. I think they're a bit better for Bigsby. Let's compare these guys quick. Falcons will stop Estime. I'm not so sure about the Jalen Wright. Estime had 14 carries last week. Estime is not bad. A bigger running back that can make big plays. You starting James Cook? Yeah. I mean, it depends who you have in opposition to James Cook. I'm definitely nervous about him. I just said to someone I would start Bigsby over James Cook. Bigsby's probably at least going to play the whole game. Will Shipley's probably going to mix in too, though, for the Eagles. I like Bigsby's chances to score in this one, though, and have some big plays. Yeah, it's Bigsby over Jalen Wright for me. Ollie Gordon could also steal the touchdowns for the Dolphins. Washington or T. Higgins? It's probably T. Higgins. It's close. Yeah, it's T. I think it's T. Definitely a close one. I wouldn't knock you for going Parker Washington here at all. It's close. Goff or Dart? Yeah, both these guys are definitely in play today. Dart still has some offensive rookie of the year motivation here. Just going to try to finish the year strong. I think the Cowboys absolutely pump the Giants offensively too, so should be playing from behind. It could actually be a pretty exciting game script here for Dart in a good matchup. Then you got Goff just trying to end the year strong. Should play the whole game too against the Bears. We just saw Brock Purdy absolutely cook this Bears defense. Went for 38 points. Rushing touchdowns in there as well, though. I probably would go Dart over Goff. I think Goff's honestly a little safer, though. Monungai or Jaden Blue? Yeah, Jaden Blue, I think, is a big today. The more I think about it, be in on the ceiling for Jaden Blue. I do want to be in on the ceiling for him because he's a really explosive player. He's a very capable receiving back. Our comp for him out of the NFL draft was Nyheim Hines, which I still think is a pretty good comp for him. But I honestly think this team likes Phil Maffa more. Like, I think Phil Maffa is the better chance to score today and is going to have a real role for the Cowboys too. They're also probably going to throw a ton. So I don't think I'd go Blue there. May or Lawrence. Yeah, it's Lawrence. You can't bench Trevor Lawrence today. Yeah, 100% the Rams are playing to win. The Rams are playing to win. That does seem to be all the reporting are playing to win. And the Rams have a history of benching players in spots like this, but they do have actually some real incentive to play. They win, they play Tampa or the Panthers. They're going to be favorites versus the Buccaneers or the Panthers. They lose, they go. That's going to be a near even spread. The Eagles team that beat them last year in a snow game that otherwise they would have won. So yeah, the Rams are going to go hard today. The Rams are going to act hard. They don't need to play in the fourth quarter because the game's going to be over. The Cardinals have a full practice squad defense, but I like Puka. I like the Rams in general today. Also lost Nico, so I have to choose between Slayton or BTJ. I think it's BTJ there over Slayton. The Jaguars are going to be trying today. I still think there's a real ceiling for BTJ. I know Slayton gets the Cowboys, but no Wandale, so there's some appeal there. Man, we might actually have Slayton ahead. Let's check. I just trust Trevor Lawrence more than Dart. Yeah, we have Brian Thomas ahead still. I would go Brian Thomas. Kelsey or Ferguson? Yeah, so Kelsey gets the Raiders. Is probably his last career game. We have him ranked as tight end 6. I'll hop over to the tight end ranks here. I think it's Kelsey. Yeah, I've been kind of buying into this narrative down the stretch of the season. Hasn't really hit. Yeah, he doesn't have a game in back-to-back weeks over 9 points, but they're going to feed him the ball here in his last career game. There's no Xavier Worthy. There's no Rashee Rice in this spot. The quarterback is awful, but you got to think they give him a real role here in this potentially, probably his final NFL game. Kelsey, by the way, he's 36 years old, guys. I mean, he is very, very, very old in NFL terms. DJ Moore, Washington. This one's probably Parker Washington. I like the matchup for DJ Moore. I think the ceiling is really, really high for Moore, but the floor is better for Parker Washington. I honestly think the ceilings are pretty comparable there too. Appreciate you. Happy New Year to all of you tuned in as well. Always have a ton of fun on these Sunday morning lives. Week 18, obviously a lot different than the other weeks. Burden, Myers, Bigsby. It's probably these first two. Burden versus Bigsby's close, but I probably would go Burden and Myers. I have them both in my DFS. I have all three of these guys actually in my DFS lineup. So all three I feel pretty good about. Cook or Warren, I'd probably go Warren. Actually, God, I don't feel good about Warren. If that was Gainwell, I'd go Gainwell. Cook's probably more than the first quarter. He still might go for 20 points. You like Rams kicker to get more than 2 field goals made? Don't hate that one. I just don't. I don't know if the Cardinals can stop the Rams. Like I don't know how many field goals honestly they kick though. It's probably gonna be a lot of touchdowns. Underdogs today on the ML. Yeah, so I like their Saints today to win. They're 3.5 point underdogs. I think that the NFL is better off with the Bucs in the playoffs. I think these are very comparable teams. In the Falcons, Saints are 3.5 point underdogs in that one, plus 154 straight up. So I think they have a pretty good chance to upset. I like the Lions' chances to win versus the Bears. I like that one a little bit less, I'd say, though. I do like the Ravens as favorites tonight against the Steelers. The Browns-Bengals game, Browns are 7.5 point underdogs, plus 320. That game feels like it could be really, really close as well. There's some huge spreads today, though. I don't like any of the massive underdogs. One of these teams will probably blow it today. Hopefully it's the Broncos. Higgins or Burden? Yeah, it's Burden. I think over Higgins. Or Colston. Yeah, I think I like Burden more than Loveland, but it's close. Kyron Williams or Jameson Williams? Kyron Williams or JMO? It's probably Kyron Williams. Kyron Williams is he's running back 4. You can't bench Kyron Williams. Absolutely can't bench him. Ferguson, I have Dak or start Meyer. Yeah, you probably go Ferg. Meyer might project a bit better. Yeah, if you need the ceiling, go Ferg. Otherwise, I'm fine going Meyer. They project really close together. Meyer was better last week. Which running back should I start? Cook, Henderson, or Swift? Man, I kind of think James Cook's a bench. We have him ranked at running back 3. He might only need a couple drives, though. I mean, if you're the Bills, like you cannot give James Cook a huge role here today. There's no reason to risk that. Their only talented offensive player, really outside of Josh Allen and maybe Kincaid when he's healthy. Like they really need James Cook healthy. He would smash in this spot too if he got a full role. But yeah, it's probably Trevion Henderson there. London or Estime in the flex. Yeah, London was such a disappointment last week. I really thought his role was going to grow and he was going to he's had a great season. He's so tough to trust at this point, though. Like he does not seem like he's himself. So it's probably Estime. God, we have London projected. Estime is way safer. London is more of the ceiling play. I don't have the start sit page today here in week 18. But let me know what rankings you want to see. I'll pull those up. Let me pull the defense ranks up. Pull my favorite TD scores of the day. I do like Tank Bigsby to score, Jacoby Myers to score. Kene and Nwangwu is my favorite deep play of the day. He's our projected for the Jets today, splitting time with just Khalil Herbert. I like Luther Burden and Diggs a lot today too. Running back and QB props. Yeah, I like Diggs and Burden to score, Jacoby to score. I like all their receiving props there. as well. In terms of the QB props, I do like Lamar's passing tonight. I like Isaiah Likely's props tonight, honestly, as well. No Rashad Bateman in that game tonight. The Steelers have not tight ends. Likely's been super disappointing down the stretch here. We have him ranked as tight end 23 on the week. He had 3 for 27 last week, though. Those are both probably right around where his prop lines are this week. He played 70% of snaps last week. That was the second most of the season. Now he gets the Steelers. Last time he played the Steelers, he went 4 for touchdown. Was a top. I still think he's one of the better offensive weapons that the Ravens have, too. Mark Andrews continues to have a bigger role than him on less snaps. Obviously, live to steal. Pollard or Estime? I'd probably go Estime, over Pollard. Tough matchup for Pollard today. And the Jags will be trying. Defense ranks. Yeah, I got you. Defense ranks. You think Dak is playing the full game? I do, yeah. Dak's going to go for the passing yard leader today. He's competing with Stafford still. It's really close between the two. And Dak gets a great matchup versus the Giants. I think this whole Cowboys offense plays the whole game and honestly smashes today. They also have no Javonte or Malik Davis. So it's Phil Maffa and Jadon Blue today. Really a scat back, receiving back. And Phil Maffa is a bit of a bigger back that I think is more likely to be the goal line back today. I don't hate his chances to score. I actually like Phil Maffa. He was a 7th round pick this year. 6'1", 234, 77th percentile speed, the size adjusted speed. Definitely an interesting deep sleeper. Pick 2, Puka and Michael Wilson. Yeah, it's the first 2. Puka and Michael Wilson. Easily. You can't bench either of these guys. I got them both also in my DFS lineup too. Both Michael Wilson. Michael Wilson's props are in the 70s. There's no Marvin Harrison Jr. today, guys. All right, let's talk through the NFL playoff picture here a bit. Let me pull this up. Yeah, over Schultz. Best TD scores. I got those up on the YouTube live. Do you like Jefferson for 5,800 DFS? I like Jefferson today. Yeah, I think he goes over 1,000 yards today. They get him over 1,000 yards, which is, I think he needs 51 more yards or something. JJ Packers are resting their whole defense, their whole team. So yeah, I don't hate that one. My favorite TD scores, I like Tank Bigsby, Jacoby Myers, Ken Mungwu for the Jets, Luther Burden, and Stephon Diggs, my favorite TD scores of the day. So in terms of the Super Bowl odds right now, so the Seahawks lock up the 1 seed in the NFC yesterday. They're the number 1 favorite for the Super Bowl, and honestly, not buying it. I really don't think Sam Darnold can win the Super Bowl. I know he's been good this season. Their defense has been really strong. The 4 teams leading in Super Bowl odds right now all have had really strong defenses for most of the season. The Seahawks are number 1. The Rams are still number 2, but definitely my faith is shaken in them a little bit after last week's loss to the Falcons. The Broncos are number 3. I really do not think the Broncos are a Super Bowl winning team. I know they've shown flashes offensively this season. Obviously, not been generating as much pressure, though, recently. They've got some linebacker injuries. The Eagles are 4. I definitely think the Eagles are live to win. They have the same team basically as last season. Offensive line's been worse, but the defense is still so strong. And it wouldn't be surprising to see the offensive line start to click time here for the Eagles. They won't get a bye, though. Then the Bills are ahead of the Patriots. Even the Pats split the difference with the Bills, beat them once, lost them once this season. But the Pats are going to have the home field over the Bills. And the Bills' defense is atrocious, and they have no receivers. Best quarterback in the league, no receiving talent, and no defense. Was enough to beat the Pats in their last game, but I think these two teams are super close. Behind the Pats, Texans, Jaguars, Packers, Bears, Ravens, Chargers. I honestly think every single one of these teams has a legit chance to make the Super Bowl. I think I'm most skeptical of the Texans just because of their offense, but they have probably the number 1 defense in the league. The Jaguars are very capable of beating any team. Texans, Jaguars, Packers, Bears, Ravens, and Chargers. And the 49ers too. All these teams are really capable of beating any team. The AFC is going to be fun, man, this year. Chargers, Ravens, both could honestly make a deep run. I think those are 2 of the dark horse teams to watch out for. I think the Ravens beat the Steelers, by the way, and make the playoffs. Hey, Sam, Watch you live every Sunday and want to say thanks for your guidance and winning my championship. Celebration Sunday. Celebration Sunday. I like that, man. A shout out to you for winning. I'm just here to give you guys the best possible info I can. And ultimately, it's you. It's you that won. So shout out to you for taking it home, man. No better feeling all offseason than after you won your fantasy league. Kevin Austin Jr. or Jaden Higgins, or roll the dice on Amon-Ra being healthy today. You got to roll the dice on Amon-Ra, yeah. Shout out to Tyrone Tracy. Yeah, Tyrone Tracy's was such a disappointment last week. Got completely vultured by Singletary. He just kept coming off the field in the red zone for Singletary. That was rough. Tank Bigsby to score in the free player prop. Yeah, Tank to score is the free player prop. Luther or J-Mo, my opponent playing Amon-Ra. Yeah, I think you go J-Mo over Burden. I would play Jaden Higgins over Kevin Austin, by the way, in this one. You can't start Kevin Austin, man. He's the number 1 receiver for the Saints today, technically, but I mean, this guy's not good. Jaden Higgins at least has some talent. There's no Nico today, too, so let me just make sure we updated for that here. Yeah, it looks like they're probably not going to play their starters the whole game if they're making Nico a healthy scratch. Like, all these Texans players are sketchy now. Devontae Adams not playing today. I would play Estime over Blue. Yeah, I'll pull up the running back ranks here. I think Blue has a ceiling. I think he's a bit of a trap here, though, in week 18, because Phil Maffa is going to have a role, I think, as well. Let me pull up some of the latest news here. Should have Samps joining the live here momentarily as well. Coach Aaron Glenn will be back. Pete Carroll's probably done. Jonathan Gannon is like on the fence, it seems like. This is probably Shadur Sanders' final start in quite. I don't know if we see him honestly start like ever again without multiple injuries. Garrett needs 1 sack, Myles Garrett, to break the all-time record. I don't know if he's going to do it. It's not a bad spot because the Bengals will probably drop back a lot in this game. But last week, the Steelers were double teaming him every single play, triple teaming him on some of these plays. Like these teams really don't want to give up the record to Myles Garrett. Yeah, I'd probably go Slayton. Over Austin Jr. I'm going to Jack game today. Let's go. Should I go Estime or I'd probably go Estime? I'm playing Gainwell over Maffa and Blue. Gainwell's in a playoff game, guys, and he's the number 1 receiver for the Steelers. Would you rather flex Bigsby, Burden, or Jordan Mason? Oh man, that's actually really close. I'll pull up this Slayton one next. Big first Burden. If you guys are watching live on TikTok, by the way, we're also live on YouTube. Better viewing experience over on YouTube. Same content, but I can share screen, pull up some of the comparisons we're talking through on screen as well. Jordan Mason is going to be popular today. I get it because there's no Aaron Jones. The Packers are underdogs in this game, like big underdogs, I think 10-point underdogs, because they're resting their entire team and JJ McCarthy's playing. The Vikings aren't resting. So I get it. I still think I prefer Bigsby against the Commanders, though. I think I agree with how we have this ranked in the app. I'd go Bigsby, then Burden, then Mason. Strange or Juwan? It's Juwan. There's no Olave. Juwan's probably going to hit a 30% target share. Should I flex Darius Cooper from the Eagles? It depends who your other options are. Johnson or Henry? Yeah, it's Juwan. It's Juwan over basically. Go to this Austin versus Slayton one quick that I just pulled down. I can pull up comments on screen. It's part of the reason it's a little bit better. I'll pop over to the receiver ranks, the receiver ranks as I talk through this one. I think we got Slayton ahead. Yeah, Kevin Austin Jr. I have them both in tier 5, though. But yeah, with no Wandale, matchup versus the Cowboys, this game could really be a shootout. I think both teams are going to be trying their hardest here between the Cowboys and the Giants for no real reason. Dak's chasing the passing yards leader for the season. He's neck and neck with Stafford, who also could put up a ton of yards today. And Jackson Dart's trying to finish out his rookie season strong. He has a chance at the offensive rookie of the year, too. This game could really end up being a shootout and great for fantasy purposes. But there's no Wandale, too. So Slayton really should pass a 25% target share in this one. Prescott or May? I have George Pickens and other player has Lamb. Yeah, it's a tough call here. The Pats are definitely a real risk to be benching guys in the second half. Kind of similar to last week, honestly. where like Drake May, he was done in the third quarter. It didn't matter for fantasy, though. He already had 32 points. Only QB that had more than him last week, I think, was Purdy. But yeah, Dak, I think I go Dak. I don't want to bench Dak versus the Giants here. I think you go Dak, even if the other guy's Lamb. Good morning, Sam. What's your DFS lineup? Good morning to you as well. Happy week 18, man. Final week of the season. It's the worst week of the season, to be clear, but it's still a Sunday, still one of the best days of the week. It's still the best day of the week. It's the worst, best day of the week here in week 18, put it, I think. But still, I got to be enjoying all the football on our TV screens today because it is the last NFL Sunday slate. We've got some playoff slates. Those are fun too. It's much smaller, much different. No fantasy implications. We'll be live probably at least once during the NFL playoffs. I'll be posting my playoff picks as well on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Here's the DraftKings lineup for me today. I'm going with the Trevor Lawrence and Jacoby stack against the Colts. Against the Lions. The Jaguars do have a lot to play for in this game. They should be going full throttle against the Titans. The Jags still have a chance at the 1 seed, and they win the division of home field for most of the playoffs if they win. They lose, they could lose the division of the Texans. They probably will lose the division of the Texans. They're big favorites in this one. So I'm going with that, with the bring back of Chigo Okonkwo, who's probably going to lead the Titans in receiving today, has at least a very good chance to do so. Jags have been by far the worst against tight ends across all positions. I like Tank Bigsby and Jalen Wright at near minimum price on DraftKings. Both these guys should be in lead running back roles. I like Bigsby's chance to score. He's my free player prop of the day as well. I'm going with the Puka Nacua, Michael Wilson stack. I don't have any Cowboys in here. I do think the Cowboy stacks are going to be very live here in week 18 with a Darius Slayton bring back potentially there. Jackson Dart stacks, kind of interesting too, with the Cowboys bring back of Pickens or Lamb. Game has real shootout potential, but I really want Michael Wilson in my lineup. I do think the Rams will try enough for Puka to smash. And if they play the whole game, Puka's going over in this game. There's not a single player on the Cardinals that can stop him. They have a full practice squad defense, just like last week. Jaden Blue or Woody Marks. Yeah, with Nico Collins being a healthy scratch, does have me a bit worried that they might be. I'm playing Justin Jefferson over Slayton. Mark Andrews, Pat Frymuth, or Brenton Strange. Let me hop into the tight end ranks here for you. It's probably, we have Frymuth and Andrews close. I honestly think I'd probably go Andrews. Yeah, Strange is right in that tier too. I got a huge tier 4 of tight ends. I probably would go Woody Marks over Blue, but it's close. I think Blue is like a bit of a trap, just a bit of a trap. In line to lead the backfield. It's going to be him and Maffa. Hunter Lupke maybe will be involved a little bit too. He does have upside. Jaden Blue can make big plays. He should get his most opportunities by far of the season. I mean, he hasn't played all season. Need 1 PPR for flex out of these dart throws that I've been snatching up this week. Jalen Wright, Dylan Sampson, Bigsby, Blue. Yeah, it's Bigsby. I think it's Bigsby then Wright. I got both these guys in my DFS lineup today. I feel pretty good about both them. Chig Okonkwo is number 4. Juwan's a very strong play today with Noah Olave. Very, very strong play. David Montgomery or Burden at flex. It's Burden. 100% it's Burden. Won my championship because of you, dude. Thanks. You rock. Let's go, Brian. Appreciate you, man. Shout out to every single one of you who tuned in throughout the season. Shout out to the champions out there. It is Celebration Sunday for the champions out there, just enjoying the football on the TV screen. No stress anymore with the fantasy season in the background for most of us that aren't sickos playing in week 18. Are you confident Adams is out because I have Devontae Adams or Myers? Yeah, definitely you're playing Myers over Adams. I am confident he's out. Even if he is in, Myers probably will project better than him. Lawrence or Dak. Yeah, these are QB1 and QB2 this week. I mean, you can't really go wrong with either of them. Honestly, the more I think about it, the more I like Dak. Because the Jaguars could really lean on the run in this game versus the Titans. The Cowboys are not leaning on the run in this game versus the Giants. I mean, Dak's going to try to go for the passing yards leader. That does matter to the players. It matters to the team. These two teams hate each other too. There's just some rivalry going on here. I honestly think I would go Dak over thinking about it more. I honestly might switch that up in my DFS lineup and try to get a Dak sack into that lineup. Whose league is playing this week? Yeah, it is the sick there are some real Week 18 sickos. This is a real thing for sure. There's some leagues too that are crazy. They play 2-week matchups in the playoffs. But DFS and props, people still grinding those, of course, as well here in Week 18. And we're going to have Samps hopping in here momentarily. Excited to talk to him here about this crazy Week 18 slate. Who's about to get their bonus this week? Yeah, we got some incentive bros in the chat. Start Lamar. Yeah, I am starting Lamar. Let me hop to the running back ranks. I'm not the biggest incentive bro. I care about it for DFS more than the props. I think in the props, it's more than priced in and a bit overrated. All right, let's bring up Samps, Week 18 of the season. All of our normal fantasy leagues are over. There's some sickos still playing in Week 18, but we'll focus a little bit more on DFS props, a bit of retrospective Samps and what we got right and wrong on the live today too. We'll talk a little bit about the NFL playoffs and really everything on the table here, Samps, in Week 18. Yeah.
I'm doing pretty good. Today's an exciting day. The fantasy season is ending, and we're meeting in person, which has never happened before, which is crazy. So it's going to be exciting. I was hoping we can get some content or something like playoff prediction videos or something that could be fun. But I'm excited to be here. There's lots of like if you're playing fantasy this week, I don't really know what to say to you. I would just say go tell your commissioner that he's dumb. I don't know, or they're dumb. It's crazy. But I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Doing great. And yeah, there's some people in the chat complaining about Week 18. This is definitely the time to complain to the league, to the commish. You can point to all the relevant examples. People sweating James Cook, Sam's. I mean, in the chat, I honestly get that sweat. Like, only play 2 drives. He projects really high for us this week because he probably could get 20 points on those 2 drives, honestly, against the Jets. But no incentive for the Bills to really push someone like James Cook. There's a lot of scenarios like that. There's going to be a lot of scoreboard watching going on, depending on how the Pats. They really might rest guys in the second half if the Broncos are smashing the practice squad that the Chargers are playing today, and that's probably pretty likely. But it could be like last week too, where it doesn't matter. Drake May throws 5 touchdowns in the first half, and still a good fantasy day potentially for some of these guys not playing the full games. Yeah, pumped to see you in person later tonight. We're going to be in person for the week with the rest of the WalterPicks team. Definitely very, very excited for that. Definitely we'll be making some playoff prediction videos and such. Let me just talk to you through some of my takes here for the week, Samps. Get any of your thoughts on those. And I got my DFS lineup up on the screen now. I actually think I might tweak this a little bit, talking through slate. I'll explain what I started with Trevor Lawrence, Jacoby Myers stack with the Chigo Konku bring back. The Jags do have something to play for today. They have a very outside chance at the 1 seed. They're not going to get the 1 seed. The Broncos aren't going to lose to the Chargers. If they do, the Pats aren't going to lose to the Dolphins. I think they need both those things to happen, and then they need to win to get the. But if they win, they get the AFC South. They win the AFC South. They lock up some home field advantage throughout the playoffs. If they lose and the Texans win, and the Texans are probably going to win today, then they're playing a backup QB, I believe, as well, right? It's a really
Riley Leonard,
who we'll probably talk about him too, but Texans probably aren't going to lose. There's some really big favorites today across the league with backups playing like must-win games for the opposing team. But yeah, I like the Trevor Lawrence, Jacoby bring back, Michael Wilson, and Puka Nacua I'm stacking here as well. There's no Marvin Harrison Jr. We've seen what Michael Wilson can do without Marv in the lineup. He's a really good chance to go over 20 points and see a lot of passing volume. They are not going to be stopped in this game. I mean, the Rams, like I want to consider a Stafford Puka stack here as well. There's no Blake Corum too, so Kyron Williams play. But this Cardinals defense, and we talked about it last week, and it really smashed last week. I believe Jamar finished as the wide receiver 1 last week, or he was definitely in the top 3. Yeah, finished as wide receiver 3, 760 and 2. This Cardinals defense is just a joke. They're going to be an even bigger joke this week, or at least as equal of a joke with a full practice squad defense. And the Rams, usually, historically, they don't play in these spots, but it does sound like they want to play, and it makes sense. If they win, they play the Panthers or the Bucks. And I honestly think it's going to end up being the Bucks, but that's a less likely than the Panthers with the spreads. I think the Saints beat the Falcons, but the Falcons obviously can win that game as well. If the Falcons win, then the Panthers get in. If the Saints win, then the Buccaneers get in. If the Rams win, they play one of those two teams. If the Rams lose, they probably get the Eagles in Philly in their first game. I mean, it's a massive, massive difference. At home versus the Bucks are probably like 10-point favorites almost in that game. At home versus the Panthers, maybe more. In Philly, that's probably an even spread. I mean, that's where they lost last season. There will be you don't want to play the Eagles, in the playoffs, in the first round. So the Rams have a lot of incentive to push it today. So yeah, I do like Puka. I mean, if Puka plays the whole game versus the Cardinals, he's going for 30 in this spot. I'm playing the Texans defense versus Riley Leonard, who was benched for his trainer in Phillip Rivers, Grandpa Rivers, who's now being Sam's evaluated for head coaching opportunities. I mean, what story for Phillip? But yeah, I have no faith in Riley Leonard. He should run a little bit, which is like notable for fantasy, but he can't throw. He's playing the number one defense in the league. He probably can't run much, honestly, either. I'm going with Luther Burden as well. We saw the Burden breakout last week. He did get an injury late in the game, but he seems like he's fine. I think this game could be similar to the Cowboys-Giants, like a sneaky shootout here. Cowboys definitely will be pushing it. But like these two teams, this is Ben Johnson versus the Lions. Don't have a ton to play for. There's some line, though. It does sound like they're going to play. And the Lions have nothing to play for. And they care a lot about their pride. So I do think the Lions will push it as well, like they have been in these somewhat meaningless games, in recent weeks. So this game could definitely be a shootout as well. So I like the Luther Burden stuff. I'm also going with Jalen Wright and Tank Bigsby. Bigsby is my free player prop of the day to score against the Commanders. Feel really good about that one. I think Will Shipley will play, but I think Bigsby's locked goal line role against one of the defenses in the league. And then Jalen Wright should get 15 plus touches versus the Pats. I'm a little nervous about Ollie Gordon vulturing, but the Pats have allowed 20 plus points to running backs in 5 straight games. We know there's a ceiling at least. Chan or Waddle today too. I mean, there's no Tua, no Achan, no Waddle, no Tyreek, no Darren Waller. The whole starting offense from week one from preseason is just on the sidelines. Most of them probably not going to be back next season. Who knows what they're going to do with Tua, man, in the offseason. It doesn't seem like there's anything they can do. But yeah, I like Jalen Wright still. So this is a DFS lineup. The thing I want to change, I think I want to get Dak in here, man. I think I want to get a Dak, maybe a Darius Slayton bring back potentially with no Wandale. I think a Dart, Slayton, Pickens, or a Dak, Lamb, Slayton type of stack, like very in play. That game feels like it has a really big shootout potential because Dak's chasing the passing yards total for the season. He wants to lead the NFL in passing yards, which he's like very neck and neck with Stafford to do. Obviously, great matchup. None of the running backs are playing. It's Jadon Blue and Phil Maffa, who I think Jadon Blue is a bit of a trap. This week, I think Maffa could probably more likely to be the goal line back, but they're just like they're going to try to get Dak this passing title. And there's no reason to think the Giants can slow them down. It's not like their defense will probably do much either. Like this really could be a sneaky shootout game. And I think the Jags are just a little bit more live to go run heavy, than the Cowboys are with my current stack. I'd like the Stafford Puka to those. I think that's in play. I think I'm honestly more leaning towards Dak and Stafford, who are trying to buy for something real. Where Lawrence, they could just really I don't think either's maybe the Rams go run heavy too, but yeah, I've kind of talked myself into Dak stacks. But yeah, that's the DFS play. I said a lot there, Sams. Any thoughts on any of that?
My first thought was just, Luther Burden and Michael Wilson were both questionable throughout the week. So we got to make sure that they're going to play and fully play because they both don't have a ton of reason to do so. But if they do play, they're both awesome. And for me, with how many cheap players you can get in your lineup, I feel like Bijan has to be started. They last week they gave him the ball. It felt like every play. I won my fantasy championship because of him. And the Saints are going to be they have so many people out. That's why I don't think they're going to win. They're playing like nobodies all throughout the roster. So if I'm a Bucks fan, I'm pretty worried about that because it seems like the Falcons want us to kind of be like, hey, let's finish the season strong. Raheem Morris is on the hot seat. If they finish, not 8-9 or 9-8, whatever the record would be, that's kind of like an okay, all right, we'll give you another chance sort of record. So I think Bijan has to be started as a stud. And he's going to get the work. I just feel like that's going to happen. And the defense, I've said it several times throughout the week on projections calls with the WalterPicks team. I've never seen a worse pairing than Clayton Tune in the Vikings defense. That is just like there's no world where that is good for that offense whatsoever. So I'm getting the Vikings defense in my lineups.
Yeah, they're not that expensive of a defense either, so I don't hate that. Looking at this, I think the Dak, Lamb, Slayton stack is really, really strong in DFS this week. Do you agree about that game environment being, like, pretty exciting for fantasy?
Yeah, for me the question is just the Cowboys playing their guys. The Giants are going to play who they have. It's funny they said Theo Johnson's out with an illness, but he was at the Knicks game like the night after the night they announced it, and he looked fine. He was smiling in the camera, so hopefully they don't get punished for false. I don't know what that would be, but yeah, I like Dart in the game too. He's probably going to run a lot. Last week, it seemed like they're still okay with him running. I mean, it wasn't a story last week of him. Like he took a few hits, no one said anything. Like,
Yeah.
so I think Dart's a good play because he's going to play the whole game. Dak is a bit more. I don't know, but yeah, that game's with the receivers for the Giants. You got to get the correct one. That's the tough part. I can
Right.
see Daniel Bellinger scoring a touchdown or two as just like a cheap tight end. I don't know. It's very tough, but the game environment should be good.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think I'm moving things around here a bit to get the Dak Lamb stack. Dak in Kevin Austin Jr. is honestly priced so low. He's kind of interesting as the number one Saints receiver. He's not good though. Like he's not a good receiver, so I don't feel great about it. But the Saints have just been able to complete a lot of passes all season with Shuck. Juwan Johnson projects as 2 or 3 today, Samps. Yeah, tight end 2. Kind of a distant tight end 2. I have tier 1 as McBride, and then I skipped a tier and just went to tier 3 with Juwan and Pitts, and then straight to tier 4 from there. There's like 9 tier 4 tight ends today, all just smashed together here. But Kelsey's kind of interesting too. It's probably his last game. We talked about this in the live in past weeks, and it hasn't really come to fruition because the offense is just so bad. But he did have a 30% target share last week. Like we have him again for a 30% target share. There's no Worthy, no Rice. You got to think they let him play the whole game in his last game. The Raiders don't have much to play for. They're resting like most of their good defenders too. They have so much incentive to lose. I mean, both these teams have so much incentive to lose in this divisional game. Lose, they get the first overall pick.
Yeah. Yeah, I talked about Travis Kelce a lot this week on our calls as well. I convinced the team to write him up a prop. His yards line was way too low, so that's a little free spoiler for anyone watching. But I just don't see and I know it's Chris Oladukin, but it's the Raiders. They have no reason to do anything productive. The only thing that I'd be concerned about if I was a Raiders fan is that all these reports that Pete Carroll is like done. He can pull a Lovie Smith and be like, hey, like we're going out there to win. Like we're going to beat the Chiefs and see what happens. And if that's the case, I like Kelsey even more because there's more reason for him to throw him the ball. So yeah, that game's gross. I would not be targeting anyone in that game outside of Kelsey and maybe Genty. Maybe.
Yeah, I'm a little bit nervous for Genty too. And I talked about Genty earlier on the live, doing a tiny bit of retrospective here. Genty is definitely firmly on the list for me of a guy I want to end the season just as weak as possible. I want as sour of a taste as possible in everyone's mouths with Genty for next draft season because there already is a sour taste in it. Like there's a lot of Genty haters out there, a lot of people who were very disappointed this season. I really think I'm going to have a lot of Genty next year. He had a 32-point game against the Texans week 6 on a big receiving play. He's been under, though, 12.5 points in 4 of his last 5. So there's the sour taste in people's mouths. He finished with 14.5 points per game, running back 16, not really people. But Sam, he had the 6th highest target share among running backs at 15%. And if you look at the back half of the season, it was way higher than that. And he's going over 20%, like consistently in the stretch from week 10 through 15. You know the receiving abilities there. He had the 2nd highest rush share in the league. Like this is a true workhorse role for Genty. And the offense, like, it's got to get a little bit better. I mean, there's a really good chance this could be one of the more improved offenses. Bad it was this year, offensive line was atrocious. Like if they can improve the offensive line and find a competent quarterback, they're gonna have a new coaching staff. Hopefully, will be better. It's hard to know for sure, but if you can get Genty in this role, and we did that mock draft as a team. I got him in first pick of the 3rd round in a 10-team league. I was honestly pretty shocked. I've seen some other mocks out there that have him in round 1, like the end of round 1, which honestly I think makes more sense of where he should go. He's got the draft capital. He's an elite prospect. he was horribly inefficient this year and still like had some 30-point games. And like you look at his efficiency, Sam's 3.7 yards per carry, 6.5 yards per reception. Is this going up or down next season, man? Like it's got to go up, right? There's almost no way it goes down if they can make some improvements. And if the role stays the same, like he could be the number one overall running back in fantasy if everything goes well. So yeah, I'm kind of in on Genty, and I want him to do bad. Last bad week, he probably did enough for enough people to be down on him next season. But one last bad week would be great, I think, for next draft season. I don't know what you think about that. Are you as in on Genty next year as me?
For me, even more than the quarterback, I need to know what the O line looks like.
Yeah.
I need to know what the offensive coordinator's mentality is going to be, because as it is right now, Fernando Mendoza is going to be their quarterback. He's a good, like, game manager with some ceiling kind of prospect guy. I think he's pretty good, but it's just a matter of how the scheme fits and everything. And if that's the case and they shore up the O-line, he will be awesome.
Right.
I feel the same way about like Josh Jacobs. I hope when Josh Jacobs plays in the playoffs, he's not like great. He keeps kind of making people mad and not playing well. He's going to be, I took him in our same mock draft and I was like, I can't believe he's still, if you look at the first 75% of this season, it was like, dang, he's an animal. So, there's a lot of guys like that. It wouldn't hurt if, Michael Wilson only played a few snaps today and wasn't good. And then, you see him next year. And
he'll be very fun for sure. Justin Jefferson also, so interested to see where he ends up going in drafts. He went in the 3rd round, I believe, in the draft we did. I took Pickens over him. I'm not sure, next draft season if I'll be confidently taking Pickens over Jefferson or not. We got to see if Pickens gets the franchise tag or not too. Obviously, still a lot up in the air, for next season. Who's the quarterback? Hopefully it's not JJ McCarthy next year. I definitely think, honestly, Malik Willis, kind of a good spot for him in Minnesota. I kind of want to see him on the Colts too, Malik Willis. I feel like he's a really good fit for the Colts. A Malik Willis, Anthony Richardson duo there and for the Colts would make a ton of sense to me. I hope we see Malik Willis get a starting job.
Yeah. I can see him on the Dolphins too. I think the Dolphins are an interesting fit. I kind of think the Dolphins just cut to and eat it. That's what the Broncos did with Russ.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. So they just kind of do it. They have to. They just have to do it.
They're on the hook for 2 more seasons of just a massive cap. 2 more years of a huge cap hit. Chance they could possibly win with that cap hit. Even if they hit on a rookie QB, which is unlikely, they don't really have the advantage of the rookie QB situation for another 2 seasons. So it's a full feels like the Dolphins right now. Bo Nix or Caleb Williams today. Yeah, this is an interesting one. It's a lot to play for today. The Broncos win, they get the 1 seed. They're playing the Chargers backups as well. We have these guys actually projected really close. A good matchup for Caleb Williams on paper too, and what I think is a lot more likely to be a shootout. I assume the over-unders in these games are not even close. Yeah, the over-under in the Chargers-Broncos game is 38.5. And in the Bears-Lions game, it's 50. It's like a 13-point difference here in the totals. So yeah, I think I lean Caleb. I can't believe Caleb only had as many points this week, Sam's 23 in a game where there was 90 points scored almost. This game felt destined for OT. Didn't quite make it there. He only had a few points in the second half. Almost all of these were first half fantasy points. Finishes with 330 and 2. His best game in over a month and a half. But yeah, Caleb. Sorry, go ahead, Sam. So you had a thought on this one?
Yeah, I was just going to say, if you believe the Bears play the whole way through, then I think it has to be Caleb Williams. The game's going to be a light show. The Lions have nobody on defense who are going to be able to play defense effectively.
I'm getting a lot of Drake London questions, Sam's. Such a tough call for me. He was a huge letdown for me in one of my finals matchups on Monday night. A pretty exciting game. It was the Bijan game. The Bijan and Stafford Bijan game and Stafford implosion. Stafford lost the MVP last week on Monday night, almost definitely. It's never a done deal with the MVP because these last games really do carry so much weight. He plays bad, Pat somehow lose. Stafford has a good game, he could definitely get it back. But Trevor Lawrence is kind of a dark horse right now for MVP with how well he finished the season too. But right now, May is the distant favorite and probably going to lock it up today. But yeah, Drake London, 1 catch, 4 yards. He did play almost every single snap. 2 targets. He had a 10% target share. He had 8 targets the week before, only caught 3 of them for 27 yards. It just feels like him and Kirk Cousins, not the ideal scenario for London. Him with Penix was so much better. He's still a season basis, but the last two are so tough to trust. Like him versus Slayton, him versus Parker Washington, like that. Someone in the chat, is it a bad idea to start London? London versus Bigsby. Like I'd probably start all these other guys, I think, over London. Tough call. I mean, if he plays his full role and he's himself, he just doesn't seem like himself. That one.
Yeah, because of how badly he did. That was the reason. Thanks also because of Bijan that I won. I needed Bijan to outscore London by 26, and I was like, there's just no way that seems super likely, and it was, because London was clearly getting bracketed and he wasn't getting the same separation. I think he's just still a little bit banged up, so I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of hold him back a little bit and just see how he does. But it's really going to be Bijan, Algier, Pitts, like I think heavy in this game. I will say, like I said, the Saints are hurt, so like that could be in London's favor. But
yeah, I could see the ceiling for London, but the floor is what we saw in the last 2 weeks. I don't really think you need to force London today. Question in the chat: y'all think Henry going off tonight? San Francisco Henry, in my opinion, like very, very in the conversation for the greatest of all time. I don't want to say back of all time, but if we're talking pure rushing, he's in 100% in the conversation. He leads all running backs in NFL history in yards per game in December. I think he's up there in touchdowns per game in December too, like over Barry Sanders and Emmitt Smith and Marshall Faulk, all these guys. It's Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's up to 92 yards per game and a touchdown per game in his age 32 season. Wins championships in week 17, goes for 45.6 points, 216 and 40 on 36 carries. It's like they really, it felt like part of the Ravens coaching staff, all the complaints about not giving Henry the ball the week before, and like, fine, we're just going to give him every play, and it worked, and that was right. Tonight, Lamar should be playing, but I mean, probably another 20 plus carries for him to start, and I would be on him to smash every single game he's playing December and on. I mean, truly incredible. He didn't have a great fantasy season the first half, but another one of these guys, him and Chase Brown, they finished the season so strong, like legit league winners down the stretch. What do you think about this Ravens-Steelers game tonight, Sam? We'll be in person together to watch it. I'm not sure what time you're getting in, but this should be a really, really fun one. I'm on the Ravens.
Yeah, I was going to ask when I should get in, but we can talk about that after. But I think Derrick Henry is going to be the catalyst to a big Ravens win. I don't see how they pivot off, especially with Lamar still banged up, not playing to his full strength. I mean, it would make no sense. And it's also Derrick Henry's birthday. So I think that is worth noting as well. I know it's kind of funny to say that, but it's Derrick Henry's birthday. The only thing that is kind of interesting, Seth brought this up to me, is TJ Watt and Derek Harmon are back on the Steelers defensive line. So they could just be selling out to stop the run every single play and see if Lamar's like good enough right now to like get him a win. Although, I mean, Derrick Henry is just playing too good. So there's a lot of interesting factors. I think this game's going to be pretty gross. Ravens-Steelers games are pretty gross. So
25 carries for 3.8 yards per carry, 94 total yards. The last time he played the Steelers, didn't score, had one catch, only 11 fantasy points in that one. Yeah, I don't think the Steelers have a better option than the Ravens. I think that's pretty clear. And I'm not so convinced their defense is better either. Like, I think these are pretty equivalent defenses, to be honest. And yeah, we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, Sam. This feels like very quietly, like maybe Lamar Ravens playoff situation. No pressure. No one thought they were even going to get in. Like, there's not really the Lamar can't win the playoffs narrative because he didn't even have a good season. And here we go. This is when Lamar wins in the playoffs, potentially gets into the Super Bowl. The AFC is wide open, man. As wide open as I can remember in my recent memory. There's no Chiefs. There's no Tom Brady Patriots. Like the last 20 years has been Chiefs and Patriots. Like AFC title almost every single season. I think there was one Burrow season in there. Like there's been very, very few seasons where there wasn't like clear favorites. And this year, Sam, I really think in the AFC, the Bills, the Patriots, the Jaguars, you can put the Texans in there, the Ravens and the Chargers. All of these teams could be any team. They could lose and beat to literally any team. Like, it's going to be a really fun NFL playoffs with that type of and yeah, I'm in on the Ravens winning. I still think they could win the Super Bowl. Like, I still think they're a legit Super Bowl contender. The NFC is going to be favored almost definitely in the Super Bowl, but if they get hot in the playoffs, like Lamar could turn up in any given game. And they have some defense too. So Yeah, I'm rooting. I'd much rather see the Ravens too in the playoffs because the Steelers cannot beat any team. Like there's not a world where they make it past one win in the playoffs, like one fortunate win. Like there's just no world. I don't think where that happens. So I think it'd be much more fun. Similar in the NFC. Like let's get the Bucks in the playoffs, man. The Panthers are not going to win a playoff game. Bucks probably can't either.
Yeah, they're both awful.
There's like some talent to get excited about with the Bucks.
Yeah. Just put the Saints in there. Get Tyler Shuck in the playoffs. Can we do that? That'd be great.
We got a start sit here for some sickos in week 18. Shakir, Dotson, and Herbert. I haven't had a chance to mention it since we've been on the live. One of my favorite, actually, I have up on the YouTube live right now. One of my favorite touchdown scores of the day is Kene and Nwangwu.
Mm-hmm.
Jets, who I did some research on this morning. He's like a much less known version of Breece Hall, Sam's. He went to Iowa State. He runs a 99th percent dash. Like this guy's got big play. It's him and Khalil Herbert. I think he has a really good chance to score today. I think he goes over 10 points. He's projected to be our leading rusher for the Jets right now. And the Bills have been so bad versus running backs all season. We're going to be resting starters by the second quarter of this game too. So we got the practice squad, these practice squad defenses for these defenses that were already bad against specific positions do get me kind of excited. I'm more excited about and Nwangwu. I'm probably not saying his last name right than I am Khalil Herbert. But Herbert, he could easily leave the backfield too. It wouldn't be that crazy. I mean, we're kind of flipping a coin between these two guys. We have Shakir projected ahead, but Shakir's probably not playing the whole game. I'm scared about James Cook, Samps, too. Like it seems like the reporting out there is Josh Allen's only going to play a couple drives. That probably means the same for James Cook. I mean, all these guys could score 20 in a couple of drives versus this Jets defense. How bad this Jets defense has been. They're probably the worst defense in the league right now. And there's some bad ones. There's some really, really bad ones. Man, it might be Dotson, honestly. I don't know what you think about Tanner McKee. He's not going to play more than a few drives. He's their only receiver. They definitely don't like him and Cook and Kincaid. Like there's just you can't afford them getting injured if you're the Bills. Man,
I guess I would go with John Dotson, but I don't love it. I mean, Tanner McKee is a pocket passer. If he has time behind that old line, I guess you could see him produce, but I don't feel good about it. If I'm not mistaken, it's John Dotson revenge game too, right? Wasn't he on the Commanders?
Right. You're right. Yeah. It is John Dotson revenge game. And I actually think these two teams obviously have played already this season. Yeah, he had his best game of the season, 4 points. His third best game of the season a couple weeks ago when they played. He played 65% of snaps in that game, 3 targets. I think the Eagles are going to really lean on the run in this game and probably pretty successfully too, though. I would not knock you for going Khalil Herbert. Yeah, I think it's Dotson or Herbert, though. I don't think I'd go Shakir.
Yeah, and Nwangwu is like one of the best return men of the last probably 5 years. Like that's what he's been known for, a good return man. I think he has an incentive where if he scores a return touchdown, he gets like $250K or something like that. So maybe he can make that happen. I don't know. I honestly did not know that Khalil Herbert was like even still like an active player, like getting opportunities to play. He's been injured so many times. He's been around forever.
We just got a good shout in the TikTok chat that Dotson went off in week 18 last year, confirming it here on the YouTube live. Last year, week 18, 7 catches, 94 yards, played 94% of the snaps, 27% target share. Only game last year where he went over like 6 points was week 18 versus the Giants. Now he's got a revenge week 18, similar type of spot. I'm in, man. I'm in. I think I changed my opinion. I think I'd go Dotson over Khalil Herbert. We got a precedent for week 18 Dotson smashing. Honestly, kind of want to get him in my DFS lineup now. Looking at this too, you got the revenge game, you got the week 18 narrative going there. I don't have any faith in Tanner McKee, but it's not like this defense is good.
Yeah,
I am kind of in on it. Genty versus Sampson. You kind of have to go Genty, right? I mean, I do agree with you too. Pete Carroll's going to try. Pete Carroll's no reason to try to lose. This could be his last NFL coach game. Probably will be. So yeah, he's going to go out and try to win. And that probably means a lot of Genty. And Dylan Sampson's splitting this backfield as well. It's just a good matchup for him against the Bengals. He only played a third of the snaps though last week. Samps, he had 0 receiving yards on 3 catches. Not a guy that I want to be starting.
Yeah, my opponent in the championship played Dylan Sampson over Ramondre Stevenson after Travion was ruled in, and that was literally the only reason I won is because he played Sampson over Ramondre. So yeah, you can't play Sampson. I know it's Cincinnati, but I kind of feel like the Bengals are going to run away with that one. And
Yeah.
although that could be, I mean, I don't know who Shador is going to throw to, but this could be Shador's best game. I could see it.
Yep. I could definitely see it too. Sam's the actives and actives coming out now. This is like the week 18 actives and actives is like the biggest actives and actives window of the season. Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Darnell Mooney, all active for week 18. Dontavian Wicks is inactive. Nick Chubb is inactive. Is Nick Chubb done? Like he might be done. Like for good. I mean,
I hope so. I don't want his career to be tarnished any further.
Yeah. Yeah, true. Really one of the great rushers too of our time. Kind of sad how we'll maybe remember the end of his career. But I mean, the fact that he came back from the injury that he came back from was truly crazy. But yeah, he's been nothing this season. Jawar Jordan is better than him. Lane Johnson did the return in the NFL playoffs. That's big news. Olave has a blood clot.
Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah,
That's
he
not
hopes for a full recovery. Like he was talked about him earlier in the live too. One of the best fantasy picks of the season, like a top 5 pick in terms of value from where they were picked this season. Absolutely smashed in the fantasy football playoffs. He had such an elite floor all season with his role too. Finished 6th in catches, 9th in yards per game. Didn't have a game under 20 points in the fantasy playoffs. It was wide receiver 2 in the final 2 weeks of the fantasy season. Scored 5 touchdowns in his final 5 games. Like just an elite league winning season from Chris Olave. Such a sneaky pick this year, but yeah, sad for him with the blood clots. Hopefully he'll be okay for next season. John Harbaugh's future with the Ravens is quote unquote up in the air, according to weird stuff, Sam's going on with the Ravens. I mean, I want to be in on this Lamar narrative and then making the playoffs narrative. All the other like polar opposite narratives are what's circulating though in the national media. Seems like such tension between Lamar and the Ravens, Harbaugh and the Ravens, Lamar not kind of acting how they want him to act off the field and not being the leader they need is sort of the reporting going on. To me, it's Lamar Jackson. What do you, you're not going to let him go. You can't let him, like you kind of have to work with what you have. It feels like to me with Lamar, like I take Lamar at choose, I think.
Easily. That's not even what I've asked this to my friend who's a Ravens fan. I've asked this for years. Like, what does Harbaugh do exactly? I want to know what he does because it's not like their special teams is good, and that's like what he's known for is like a special teams guy. Their special teams was mid to bad for as long as I can remember, to be honest. And I do think if they lose, there's going to be like very strong, like okay, like we're gonna send you on your way, or they might do like the whole like front office role, that sort of thing. But I will say it is similar, not to bring back this memory, but when the Giants made the playoffs in 2007, the year before Tom Coughlin was like hot as can be on the hot seat, he had to change his entire philosophy, and that season's when they squeaked in and they got it done, and then he's now like they won another Super Bowl after. It's just kind of crazy, right? Yeah. So I can see a similar thing, and this Ravens team's probably maybe outside of, I mean, the Giants defense that year was really good, but like offensively they're definitely better like who they have. So it's an interesting parallel that maybe, I don't know, if they win and they win the first game of the playoffs, I'm like, oh man, this could be interesting. They could do something here. That'd be crazy.
Yeah, Sam. So I definitely think the thing that people often overlook with the coaching stuff, and honestly, the Giants kind of made this mistake this season too, is who are you going to get? Like, what coach are you going to get that is actually going to be likely to be an improvement? And it's not easy. There's not very many good coaches available, and I think Harbaugh would be snatched up quick by someone else if he ultimately was let go, because like looking at much worse quarterback candidates. I don't know what you think about the Dable one. I think you were on board with the Dable firing when it happened, but I feel like as time has gone on, it's like, well, Dart liked him. He had some success offensively in the past. Like, can they find someone better? I don't know. They might not. It could definitely end up being a step backwards, not forwards. You don't know until you see who they bring in and ultimately how they. Yeah, I don't know how you think about that one as time's gone on.
Obviously, he was better for Dart. He chose Dart as his guy, which is like good if it works out. I think Dart's pretty good. It's still needs to be seen. Like,
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are saying it's crazy. Oh, the Giants could consider like a quarterback early. I don't. If you think someone's better than Dart, the new regime comes in. Like, I don't think it's insane. Like, if you can trade Dart for assets, I don't think it's insane. But I think Dart should stay. I think he should be the guy. But I don't think that talk is insane. But the thing about Dable is, yes, he was good for offense, good for Dart, but the thing is, he's a bad head coach. His management was bad. His in-game management was bad. Like his time, just a lot of stuff has come out saying he's like finger pointer, the whole Wink Martindale situation. Like that's my question is always, can you see this coach holding up a Lombardi Trophy? And I could never in a million years picture Brian Dable holding up a Lombardi Trophy. I just can't see it. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what my thought process is with that.
Yeah, that's fair. I was curious on your thoughts on Dart too. I'm honestly a little surprised. I thought you were going to be more in the of course he's the future camp. That's the camp I think I'm in. I'm honestly surprised how much narrative there is of is he the future starter? Is he not? Maybe I always skew a little bit more towards fantasy too. He's a great fantasy football quarterback, so I just want him to keep starting. He's for fantasy, and it's the perfect situation too in fantasy football when there is this narrative of is he really that good of a quarterback? But he's running a ton, so he's amazing for fantasy. Get picked in the 12th round, even though he should get picked in the 7th or 8th. But yeah, I don't think they're finding someone better than Dart. I think he's great potential this season.
For sure.
Showed some Josh Allen traits. Honestly, if he can build on those, he could be a legit top 10 QB in the NFL at some point. And it's not like he had a great supporting cast.
That's the thing that I was always circle back to. Like if he gets Neighbors back and Scatterwood back, and they're going to bring someone in the offseason, they're probably going to lose Wandale, so replacing him is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think they should bring someone else in. I think it's obvious. Honestly, it's probably more of they're saying it to try and see if they can trade the pick for more or whatever. But this QB class is very interesting. I think if Oregon's quarterback comes out, that would be huge, obviously, for the Giants because he's going to go top 5, and then they can trade out. And then I think Ole Miss's quarterback, he's really small, but he's electric. He's awesome. I hope he goes to the right spot and gets a chance. You'll see those guys when we start doing some work for the rookie guide. But yeah, I would encourage you to watch the Ole Miss offense if you're watching the college football playoff. Trinidad Chambliss is his name. You cannot forget that name. He's pretty electric.
Definitely excited for the rookie guide. Well, we grinded so hard on the rookie guide this past season. Definitely will be running it back this year for all the subscribers in the WalterPicks App. Free content we share there as well. But every single player do some historical prospecting, statistical projections. We also do film-based projections. We watch all the key players and ultimately land on some, I think, really strong dynasty and rest of season, season-long rankings post NFL draft. But we really establish our opinions before the NFL draft and also outline our favorite landing spots. And I think it just puts you in such a good spot post draft to react appropriately because there's always so much over and action after the draft based on just the landing spots and capital. Should be a fun NFL draft season. Again, does seem like there's some good receivers this class. Dive into that. Jalen Hyatt's inactive. Samps, I don't know who supposed to throw to. Darius Slayton today. I just refreshed the app. I don't know if we have it updated quite yet. Yeah, we have Slayton.
Hodgins.
Hyatt at number 2. Yeah, it's going to be Hodgins, Xavier Gibson.
I think we're going to get some Gunnar Olszewski action, honestly. It's not going to be like Xavier Gibson. I don't even know if he's on I don't even know they elevated him, to be honest. He's terrible. And Bo Collins is awful. So it's going to be Hodgins, Bellinger, Slayton, Olszewski. That's how I would consolidate it. That's what I would think.
This comment's asking, do the Bears have anything to play for? So the Bears lock up the number 2 seed with a win, but they can't fall farther than the number 3 seed. If they need to win over the Lions to avoid the NFC West teams in the first round of the playoffs, he did say they're going to play. Ben Johnson did say they're going to play to win. It's possible that they end up resting guys. If the Eagles backups are losing to the Commanders, then we could see the Bears rest some key guys late. So some scoreboard watch potentially there because the Eagles are resting guys and they need the Eagles to lose. If the Eagles lose, this game does not matter for the Bears. So there could be some scoreboard watching there. I do think the Eagles win, though. I still think the Eagles backups can beat the Commanders starters and most of the backups too. I mean, they're playing Josh Johnson at QB. So yeah, I think the Bears probably will be playing, but similar to the Pats, there's some scoreboard watching here that could lead to second half benching.
I think if I'm Ben Johnson, I want to play personally the whole game because I think he's a self-aware like a person. Like a lot of our games have been these tight ones, like where we kind of made some miracles happen. If I'm him, I'm like, let's go out there and just see if we can put a game together and actually like win and see like with in convincing fashion. So that's what I would do if I was him. And then, like you said, you can avoid those West teams. That would be huge.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. You don't want to be playing the NFC West if you don't need to in the first round. Just some other actives, inactives today. Apparently, Kirk Cousins has an illness, but he's Malik Willis out. Jordan Love is the backup. Philip Rivers is inactive. His comeback's officially over. Drake London is active. Nico and Nick Chubb are out. Aaron Jones is out. All that stuff was pretty expected. Honestly, not too much unexpected. Actives, inactives. Jalen Hyatt's a bit. He's probably done. Giants.
He's terrible.
Active here.
He's so bad. Horrible pick.
18. Yeah, crazy how many. I think there was a best shape of his life. Jalen Hyatt preseason our article going on even this year. Sam's can't. I'm going to be.
It's like 22.
Absolutely.
It's crazy.
Let me pull up the wide receiver ranks here. Loveland or Michael Meyer? Probably would go Loveland over Meyer. It's a close one for sure.
Loveland looks so awesome last week. He's gonna be one of my most targeted. Like next year, he's gonna be one of my highest targeted guys. I think they're probably gonna have a really tough schedule, so I'll have to look at that too. But he is. They said they jinxed him. They said he was the only rookie to not drop a pass, like that played a certain amount of snaps, and then he dropped one like right after. But he has been just sure-handed, electric, great player. I think.
Yeah, and he did underperform in the first half of the season, had multiple big games, though, from week 9 on. We saw him go over 20 points twice. He went over 10 points 5 or 6 times, had a pretty reasonable floor, too. It's honestly kind of crazy. It's like him and Tyler Warren completely flip-flopped halfway through the season. It was Warren like by a mile in the first half of the season as the quarterback stuff went on with the Colts, which really hurt Warren a lot. But both these guys look like hits at the NFL level. Both guys are going to be top 10 projected tight ends next season. Loveland's ceiling is probably tight end 3. Like he could probably finish as a tight end 3. Like his ceiling, he could jump into that elite tier. Fannin was also a massive hit. So like Fannin versus Loveland versus Warren will be a very interesting debate next season. We'll have to see what the Browns QB situation is, but like Fannin kind of had the most impressive season of them all.
I'm honestly concerned for a new head coach in Cleveland. There've been a ton of things saying that Stefanski might be gone. Right. And if that's the case, like I have no idea how they'll use Fannin if they do bring back Njoku also. It's a little scary to me.
Yeah, that is definitely a little scary, but he was so talented this season as a rookie that it's hard not to be excited about him. But I agree. I feel like his role is most variable amongst these 3. He led this group in target share, led this group in targets, receptions, not yards per reception. That was Loveland. He ran fewer routes than Warren, had the most air yards here too. Let's look at the fantasy stats. Yeah, he's getting points per game. Sam's Fan had more points per game than Warren. Slightly less yards than Warren, more touchdowns. Yeah, I mean, wow, like just really honestly impressive seasons from all 3. I feel like the expectations for rookie tight ends is always a little bit too high based on just the historical numbers for rookie tight ends, but yeah, definitely going to be an interesting debate there between those 2. Chig or Kelsey? Sam's, I like Chig today. Yeah. Chig, a huge best ball pick in the fantasy football finals, actually back-to-back week. He was free in drafts this year, finishes a top 6 tight end in both fantasy playoff weeks. It's really crazy. Back-to-back games with a touchdown. Now he gets the Jags, whose only position they've been struggling to stop is tight ends this season. And then you got Kelsey in his last game, who we have them projected 0.1 points apart. I don't know which way would you go here, Sam. These are the 2 tight ends I'm between for DFS this week too. It's like one of these 2 guys for me.
I feel like if you're looking for a ceiling, Chig is definitely more of a big play guy. There's no doubt about that at Kelsey's point in his career. I do think Kelsey's got a better chance of scoring personally. I know Chig scored twice in a row, but I think against the Raiders in his last game, I don't know. Just it's presumptive to say it's his last game, but it just feels like the writing's on the wall about things that he said and stuff like that. So I think I'd lean Kelsey if I was in actual fantasy, but I'd probably lean Chig if I was in DFS.
Yeah, I think
if that makes sense.
Honestly, as well. Kelsey's probably going to come in higher owned in DFS too, and Chig is cheaper as well. in DFS. So I think that does kind of bode well for Chig in DFS. But I think in a start sit straight up, I'm going Kelsey.
Yeah.
Is there any running back Samps that stand out to you of all these backup running backs? Today we got Estime, who did pretty well last week. The Taysom stuff was brutal. Last week it was just because it was his last home game in week 16. We also have Corey Krosky-Merritt, Jalen Wright, Jordan. We have this guy in Wangru I was talking about. I'd like him to score today. Jadon Blue is probably going to be playing. I think he's a bit of a trap. Any of these guys that stand out to you as interesting for DFS?
For DF, I like Bill. I think Bill's interesting. I think in the last game they're going to give him more work. You would hope because he's been pretty good. Like he kind of showed like why the hype was there. If Rodriguez is back, which I'm assuming he is, it does hurt a little bit. But I don't know. I feel like Bill's got a good ceiling against an even worse run defense that was not playing good these last few weeks, anyways.
Yeah. I mean, with Rodriguez back, it's definitely really scary to me. It's like I think I also like. I'm hoping that Bill finishes the season strong for the opposite reason as Jeff testing it in fantasy. He's on a team that wants to play 4 running backs, has not shown any faith in him, like really the whole season. He's just a big play running back, it feels like, with no legit path to like a serious workload to win leagues. And they haven't really trusted him as a receiver or block downs either. Like they firmly were playing Chris Rodriguez over him a couple weeks ago, even when their season was over, and they should, but they have with him. So yeah, I want him to finish strong so he gets drafted in like the mid rounds, late rounds. Next season, people just burn picks on Bill. He actually ended up being a good player to have in the fantasy football, best ball finals for those that had him on their squads. But yeah, I want to be out, I think, on Bill next season. So I want him to finish strong here. So I hope you're right about that one. Estime is honestly pretty interesting too. Like I think his role will be sticky from last week. He had 76% of the snaps, 14 carries, 1 target. He's a big guy who's also making big plays, which is what we saw in this game. He gets the Falcons on a Saints team without Olave, all their running backs. Yeah, I think he's in interesting DFS play here too. But Bigsby's my favorite. Bigsby's the guy I'm going with in my DFS lineup, and I think he's scored 6 yards a carry this season. Sam, small sample size, but the only guy averaging more yards per carry is another small sample guy. I think it's Mari DiMercado, who's like 10 carries or 15 carries this season. He's right up there with Achan and Bijan. I mean, again, much smaller sample size, but he's going to go over 4 yards per carry here against the Commanders. Almost every single one he had in the past couple of months has. I don't know if there's been a rushing yards line set for him or not, but I saw the touchdown line was available. That is my free player prop of the day. I'll put the running back ranks here. It's interesting too, because I do think there's a ceiling there. I had him in my DFS lineup as well. The Pats have allowed like a lot of good running back performances. They allowed a big play to Breece Hall last week. They could also be resting guys in the second half. I just think it's also going to be mixing in like a decent amount here, and maybe one of these 2 guys. Please don't give Jeff Wilson the ball here. Rough to watch, but anything's in play really. I'd say in this week 18. But yeah, my favorite 2 are Bigsby. Personally, I think Jaden Blue is the trap of the group, though I am excited to see him potentially in a bigger role.
Yeah, I would like to see Donovan Edwards get some run. Maybe I think it'd be interesting. I don't think he will, but is what's his name? I'm blanking on his name. The running back we were all Montrell Johnson. Is he on any team that he could get an opportunity today?
He did not get an opportunity. He did not get an opportunity all season. That I'm missing with Montrell Johnson Jr. No, 2 weeks ago. Oh, he signed with the Panthers a couple weeks ago, it looks like. So that game already came to pass. Let's see. Maybe we see a Montrell Johnson playoff game.
That'd be insane.
Let's take a look. Montrell Johnson, for those of you at home, more of a life than Samps and I. Montrell Johnson is the best free agent running back over the course of this season. He went undrafted in the NFL draft. He came out of Florida. You watch his college highlights, and you're like, this is a top 5 running back in college football. He looked like Isaiah Pacheco. Like he's that type of top-end speed. Has not stuck on. He's been bouncing around practice squads all season. Has not stuck on in a single place. He wasn't best ball teams. Yeah, it looks like he's on the practice squad. Yeah, he's on the practice squad for the Carolina Panthers. So at least he's on the practice squad. He's still kicking. My Wi-Fi went in and out there, Sam, so I think we're good.
Okay. I don't know if it was mine or yours, but
I think that was
hopefully
me.
we're
I think that was me.
okay. Trevor sent one of our lead data scientists sent a sneaky play. I've never heard of this guy in my life. Sal Cananella for the Browns. I think he produced when Fannin went out. Doesn't he have a picture? That's how under the radar he is.
He did play a third of the snaps last week. There's no Njoku or Sal. What's this guy's last name?
Canella.
Oh, the
He's
C.
29 and he's 6'5", 240 pounds.
I can't. He's not even on this database. I'm searching. That's when you know. If he's not on Player Profiler, that's when you know it's. Wow. Yeah, Sal Canella. Is he even? Let's see if he's even available in DFS. He probably is. He played last week.
We'll see.
Minimum price. I'm getting him in. That is an unreal shout. Sal Canella. The Browns. He gets the Bengals. It's actually
yeah.
I wonder if there's any anytime TD props.
Little Sal Canella, Chase Brown stack.
What a
That's
time.
wild. I'm doing it. I'm putting Canella in there.
You might be able to fit in some crazy plays.
Yeah, you can probably get Bijan in with Canella in there pretty easily.
I'm 1,000 over here. I think I could probably get down with defense. Yeah, wow. Colts.
It's crazy to see
the Jets get an interception today, Sam? So
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I'm going to be playing Mitch Trubisky. I don't think that they run like they necessarily pass a lot. Jalen Warren.
I think so.
I honestly, I kind of feel like they have a good chance to do it. The Colts at the Texans or the Jets at the Bills for defense, Sam's.
Oh, man.
Oh, with the Jets. They're the worst defense, though. The Colts are definitely better. Sam's, if I go with the Jets defense and Canella at tight end, I can fit Lamb, Puka, and Bijan all in.
Well, if that's the case, maybe.
Yeah, I don't hate that at all. Jalen Warren or Estime? I think I go Estime over Warren. I don't feel good about Warren at all. He's behind Gainwell. He's at least in a game that matters, but Estime is probably going to get more carries than Warren, and Gainwell's getting all the catches.
It's such a bad offense for the Steelers right now. Like, they chose the worst time possible. I mean, I guess it's kind of DK Metcalf's fault, but it's not like it was humming when he was there. I think we're going to see Kenneth Gainwell's potentially highest volume of the season if they want any chance of winning. So I'll go Estime, although I don't love that matchup either, to be honest. Just given all their injuries.
Any other take stamps you have for this week that you wanna get out?
I'll go with the Vikings defense scores the highest fantasy point total of any defense that has scored like this season. I don't know what that number is. I don't care what it is. I'm going with that. So, and they're not expensive in DFS. So that's why they're locked in for me right now. Clayton Tune is so bad. Like, he's like Max Brosmer levels bad, like genuinely. Like, Brian Flores is doing his last audition for head coach. Not that he needs it, but
right.
So yeah.
Yeah. He also, the Vikings are 10.5-point favorites, Sam's, against the Packers.
Crazy.
At home with JJ McCarthy starting. Yeah, it really is crazy. But yeah, their whole defense is bench players. Their whole offense is bench players. I mean, it makes sense. I like the Vikings defense as well. Do you like them stacked with Jordan Mason? I mean, they're 10.5-point favorites and there's no Aaron Jones. It is kind of interesting, but I feel like Xavier Scott's going to get mixed into. Ty Chandler might even play a little bit. It's tough to know what the real role is going to be for Jordan Mason.
Yeah, I mean, that backfield is not one that I'm like actively looking to even try to analyze. It's just so bleak this week. I mean, I do think Justin Jefferson, it's not the running back, but Justin Jefferson could have a good game. He needs like 50 yards for 1,000, something like that. And McCarthy is not. I have more respect for him than ever after what we had to endure with other quarterback play there. So I think I think he can score a touchdown today. How about that? In a game that means nothing. How about that? Let's get Justin Jefferson a chance.
Yeah, and there's a lot of chatter going on, Sam's, about getting Jefferson over 1,000 yards. I think he needs one more yards, and like all hell's gonna break loose if they can't get it there. Like he's gonna demand to be off the team. You know, there's a lot of like this is actually a big deal for Jefferson and the Vikings here, and this is going to be the sole goal for the Vikings today. He should hit this in the first half against backup if this is actually such a focus point. Comes down to week 18, he's got to get like legit 51 yards to hit the 1,000 receiving yards. We have him for 35% in this game, 62 yard. I think he gets it. I think he probably gets it in the spot.
And I can just see after the fantasy season's over, he drops like 30 points right when everyone didn't need him anymore. I can just see it.
Yeah, definitely will be very, very classic. He's honestly kind of interesting in DFS too. I don't know how often he's going to be getting played this week, but definitely an interesting one.
Yeah, for sure. I think I'm going to play him because I don't think he'll be super highly rostered, and I know he's going to play.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think he's playable too. Dart or May, Happy New Year's, guys. Happy New Year's to you as well. Happy New Year's to you too, Sam. I think I said that to you.
Thank you. Same to you.
May versus Dart. Man, I mean, both are honestly all these QBs from Dart are pretty good on the slate today. Lamar's, but gotta think
I think because May could easily go off in one half like he did. We've seen him do it. You know, I think his ceiling in that regard is better than Dart's, but it's just, I think he'll Drake May.
Yeah, I think so too. Even if he plays just the first half, you're probably going to be fine. Luther Burden or Brian Thomas Jr. This one's actually really close. I've seen a bunch of Burden questions. I want to start Burden. I mean, the breakout happened last week. I think the Bears are going to play the whole game. It's possible that they don't, though. It's more likely that the Jags play the whole game, but it's also pretty good chance the Jags go pretty run heavy. Brian Thomas has not been a good start all season. He's also a really interesting case, Sam's, for next year, where like the damage has been done. He could go off this week. It wouldn't matter. He could go off in the NFL playoffs. It might matter a little bit, but one game over 20 points the entire season. He's one game over 17 and a half. The entire season finishes barely above 10 points per game. He was unstartable like the entire fantasy playoffs. Basically, I was actually in on him last week in the matchup. He's getting consistently outplayed by Jacoby Myers. Parker Washington's outplayed him the last couple of weeks. I want to bet on this talent. I think it'll be really interesting to see where he goes. He's probably be like a fifth, sixth round pick next year. Like you kind of can't take him ahead of Myers. So like maybe you will based on the previous name value. It'll be really interesting to see where he goes. But we know the ceiling is there from last year, but it has not been there this season. I'd be fine going Luther Burden.
Yeah, I think he'd go later than those rounds. I mean, it depends. I mean, it's crazy to say, but there is a world where like they see what they can get for him, like on a rookie contract. They have Myers, Parker Washington's emerged, Strange, and Travis Hunter coming back. Like I could see they lost first round picks to get Hunter. I could see them being like trying to get some capital back. I don't think they should. I think Brian Thomas is great, but if he's just not fitting with Liam Cohen, that's not a dumb idea to do that.
I definitely could see that as well. All right, I think that was London, Washington. We already talked about both these guys. I don't trust London. He projects better than Washington, but it's close. I feel like they've honestly like Parker Washington's ceiling is really up there. Most top receivers. We have London ahead of Jefferson. I don't think he's such a tough projection though. It's like, are we getting the London from most of the season or from the last 2 weeks? My money's on the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
All right, let me pull up the DraftKings lineup one more time. I did make some tweaks to this lineup as we talked. I switched out Lawrence, Jacoby stack with the and Lambs. I like the Dak Lamb Slayton stack a lot. The more we've talked through it, I also do like that tight end. Since I'm gonna be punting tight end anyway, like why not just go with Sal Cannella against? Yeah. Probably gonna be playing over half the snaps. There's no Fannin. There's no Njoku. I talked about this Browns game. Judy's projected to lead this team in receiving, but very good chance he doesn't do that. The Bengals also are going to score in this game. Could be an ugly one, but we just need him to fall in the end zone. He's a smash value at minimum price against the worst defense against tight ends like in recent history. So yeah, I do like that play as well, and that gets you enough space to still put in Puka in a CD Lamb lineup. There, you can pay down and go with the Jets or Colts defense and get Bijan in there too, or you can go with the Vikings defense like Samps was recommended. You're getting someone more like Pickens, maybe in the Dak stack, or someone in that range, not quite the Bijan tier, but I think I like that as well. I still like Luther Burden and Shig as well. Michael Wilson's still in play, I think, too. I'm going with Bigsby and Jalen Wright in like all my lineups. Though at running back, Bigsby especially, I think, is in play. As a reminder, the free player prop does tank Bigsby to score on the day. See if we can finish out 30 and 20 on the season to be right at 60% on the season. We'll take that with the free props. I will be doing some live streams throughout the playoffs. Probably one per week in the playoffs. We'll see how that ends up shaking out. Definitely will be posting some content though on my playoff picks, which have been really strong in past years. It's going to be a tough year though, definitely to try to keep that going strong. Excited for the challenge there. Sam's, any other parting thoughts here?
What's your Super Bowl pick right now?
Yeah, I'm still thinking through it. Like I said, I think the teams that I am bearish on, that I don't think are legit, I can see like a lot of teams making it, but I don't think are legit Super Bowl winning contenders. I don't have faith in the Seahawks. They're the overall favorite right now. I get Darnold's played well. The run game started going a little bit last night too, but like I don't trust Darnold in the playoffs at all. I'm definitely going to be picking teams with elite quarterbacks over the Seahawks in the playoffs, even as good as the Seahawks defense has been. I don't have a ton of faith in the Seahawks. The Rams are second in the odds. They just lost the Falcons. Both these teams could lose to the Eagles in the NFC. I also think the 49ers noise in the NFC, their odds are like near last among the teams in the playoffs. They get their defenses bad, but yeah, I think it's going to be Eagles, Bills, or Eagles, Patriots, or Eagles, Jaguars. I also think the Ravens and the Chargers are my favorite two dark horse teams. Like to me, they both those teams like legit chance to make the Super Bowl. Like they could beat any team in the AFC. I'm a little skeptical in the Texans. Still, I just seen enough offensively. I get their defense has been really, really strong, probably number one. But like I like the Jags more than the Texans. I just think offensively have a better chance to show up. I still think the Texans have one of the worst offensive lines. So just it's tough for me to get behind them. So yeah, if I had to guess right now, I'd say Eagles, like Eagles Pats or Eagles Bills. I think the Pats have a chance to beat anyone too. I don't think many people will believe in them because of the schedule. But we saw them beat the Bills. Like they're capable of, like pretty much every other team in the AFC, winning or losing any of these games. They're alive. To me, this is the most wide open NFL playoffs I can remember in recent memory. I do playoff best ball drafting before it's too late because I think there's some of these deeper AFC teams like the Chargers and the Ravens could be huge values in a format like that.
Yeah, Derrick Henry's going way too late in these playoff drafts.
100%. Yeah. What's your Super Bowl prediction?
Yeah, the more I've thought about it and the more they're getting healthy, I'm really worried that the Eagles are going to go back to the Super Bowl. It really is just unfortunate. They're so dysfunctional that it's like that's how they function. It's really weird. It's like they can't function without being dysfunctional. It's crazy. And in the AFC, I feel like literally any team could do it. It's kind of the tough part. I'm very skeptical about the Bills. Josh Allen, he's going to have to, which he can do, but he's going to have to go nuclear. He has no weapons of note outside of James Cook, and the defense is very hit or miss. So it's kind of like
it's not a good defense.
Yeah, and so it's very, very difficult to trust them. I think it like if you were to take all the teams and they all were at the top like every single game, like I think the Jaguars would be very tough to beat if they're at their top of their game. So the inexperience in the playoffs is kind of like a concern. But yeah, for me, it's the Eagles. And then if the Broncos get the 1 seed, they're going to be really, really tough to beat in Denver. That's kind of the concern there.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I don't know. I'm not a super big believer in the Broncos either. Their offense definitely showed up more than I expected down the stretch of this season. But I feel like their defense has actually been worse.
Yes, it has.
Like they're not getting any pressure on the quarterback. If their defense isn't like playing elite defense, They could lose any given matchup. The bye is huge, though. I do think they're going to get the bye and then get home field. Broncos do have like a legit home field advantage as well. I think I saw some research out there too. There's the week after you play the Broncos, teams are just getting crushed because they're like recovering from the altitude in Denver. Very interesting, but I still am like pretty skeptical of the offense, and the defense has really not been like this top 3 unit in the past like month or so.
Yeah, the Chargers are really similar to me as like the Bengals when they made the Super Bowl. O-line's terrible, QB's playing lights out. You have some weapons, and
defense is well.
Yeah, the defense is honestly probably better than the Bengals defense, even though that defense was like pretty good. It's just going to be like literally the Chargers O-line's like 31st or worse in like every like category. So it's Herbert has been playing out of his mind. Though. If you look at his stats and then you look at the O-line, it's like, how did this happen? Like, how do you do this? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So they're resting the guys today. Like maybe they get a little bit healthier on the O-line. I think that's possible in the NFL playoffs. Defense has been playing better than people realize. And yeah, you have Herbert. Like you're live to win a game if Herbert shows up. They still have really good surrounding cast for Herbert across all the different receivers. Hampton's healthy. Yeah, it's definitely. I think they're a very interesting dark horse team. I like the dark horse teams this year with how even it is. The Chargers and Ravens stand out the most to me. I don't think the Steelers, Bucks, Panthers they're the only like kind of the only 3 teams like just no chance. So,
yeah,
like they are not making the Super Bowl. Any of those teams, but everyone else like there's a legit chance.
Yeah, I worry the Eagles just keep every game gross and win by just dominating the trenches and this like oh, the Bears could come in there if the offense is alive, like they can win. It's like they keep it gross and they just lose, and it's just like it's gonna suck. It's gonna be so awful. I hate it. But I mean, if I had to play like the Chargers or like the Bears in the first round, I'd feel pretty bad. I'd be like not in each conference. I'd be like, this is not good. Like we could easily lose.
Yeah.
And I guess it's probably gonna be the Patriots, right? They're probably have to play the Chargers, and that's.
Yeah, I think they're playing the Chargers or the Ravens most likely, and I'm scared for both of those.
I'd be much more scared for the Chargers. I feel like matchup wise, it just seems way worse. To me, the defense is just. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Like it'd be a real like if May can go out there and like beat the Chargers, I'd be like, okay, here we go. They could do it, and a lot of fans would be very upset about that. They'd be very upset.
100%. Yeah, the Pats need to pray for the 1 seed. I honestly think that's their cleanest path to actually making the Super Bowl. I might try to venture home to New England to get a home playoff game. We'll see if they when and where that game ends up shaping out. But I haven't seen a Pats game all season, so it would be with them actually being like legit contenders for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, I think if they're going to have a home playoff game regardless. So you know.
Burden or Bigsby? I would go Burden over Bigsby. I would go Lawrence over Nix. I'd go Burden over Thomas. Someone in the TikTok live said, what's your Burden take? You think he's going to be elite next season? I talked about this a tiny bit earlier, Sams. There's like in the fantasy football the content creation space, like everyone's so excited about Burden because of the efficiency numbers. And we were in on Burden. Like I was very in on Burden in the side that we put together. I think he's the most talented rookie receiver in this class. Like I think he's more talented than Tet on efficiency basis. He has been. My him is it's such a small sample size of routes. Like it feels like no one's talking about the sample size of routes when we talk about his yards per route run numbers. It's like great. He was really efficient. He ran less than 10 routes in like most games this season. Yeah. Like it's not a true apples to apples comparison to some of these other route run numbers to other rookies who were playing the whole game. He averaged 14 routes per game. And yeah, he dominated on the routes. Last week was super encouraging. I still think he's probably the most talented rookie receiver in the class. So I'm going to be on the side of betting on Burden, not against him, probably next fantasy season, because I am a believer in the talent. There's still a role to grow, but I just wouldn't expect the 3 yards per out run to stick in a full-time role. I think that's like a little bit too aspirational for me. But yeah, I'm in on Burden. I think he is going to be a very good receiver in the league. He just needs to keep his head up and get to an every down role. He still hasn't really gotten to that. Like even last week, he didn't play more than 60% snaps.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's just showing some signs of kind of like star receiver, in these last few games where he makes a play. You're like, oh, this guy, he's going to be good. You can just tell kind of like I felt like it was the same thing like George Pickens when he came out, he made a few plays. You're like, oh, okay. Like this guy's going to be really good.
That's similar to that. Yeah, for sure. Sams, that's our time, man. I'm excited to see you in a few hours. I'll reach out to you about the timing there. But guys, thanks so much for tuning in all season for the sickos still in fantasy leagues in week 18. Good luck to you. Good luck in DFS and props, everyone in week 18. We'll be back live for the NFL playoffs. We'll be making content all off season as well. Content around the NFL draft and next fantasy season. So make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit the follow button on TikTok as well. Time's the most valuable thing we have. Thanks for spending some time with us this morning. Good luck, everybody.